At the mercenary headquarters in Africa, someone says they receive intel that the enemy's chief executive, Masalan, has arrived in Sector Y for a local visit. The man holds a wooden stick and says that tonight, Masalan will be eliminated. He's speaking to other soldiers and says everyone there must have realized that they can't mobilize many troops. They only have 49 soldiers and will not have air support. One of the seated soldiers asks about the number of enemy troops, and the man replies that it's between 350 and 500. Another soldier, Daeru, asks his comrade what he said, but Chaney tells his friend to be quiet. Up front, the man continues and says that everyone must be aware that the goal of this mission is not to take the area. As soon as Masalan's death is confirmed, they are to cease fire and retreat immediately. Daeru asks again what the man said. Furious, the man yells at him, drawing everyone's attention to the soldier. Chaney stands beside him silently. He stares at the man, who orders them to pay attention. Angrily, Chaney tells him to go on. The man stays silent for a moment. They stare at each other. Then the man says that normally he would say something, but he'll let it slide this time, since it's a very special day for all of them. Chaney says nothing, and the man ends the meeting there. Everyone salutes the captain in unison. Night falls. A military truck drives along the road. Inside are several soldiers, including Chaney. Most of them are dozing off or sleeping deeply. The truck stops. Chaney gets out first. Then he tells everyone they'll go on foot from that point on, so everyone must get out of the vehicle. The soldiers begin to wake up. Seriously, Chaney tells them to check their weapons carefully one more time and have one last smoke if they want. They must leave in 5 minutes. He lights a cigarette himself. A soldier walks up to him and calls the captain. He's a blonde guy with a cigarette in his mouth. He asks if after the mission they'll be able to play video games. Chaney complains and tells him to think about surviving the night instead of wasting time with pointless nonsense. Calmly, the blonde man lights his cigarette and tells the captain not to worry because they got the gob with them. Smiling, Chaney exhales the smoke and tells him not to overdo it. He puts out his cigarette by stepping on it, then orders everyone to move into the woods. The group follows a trail, walking single file in the dead of night. Suddenly, Chaney signals for them to stop. The group stands before a clearing. He thinks there are still 2 kilometers to the final destination and everything has gone smoothly so far. Even so, something is bothering him. The blonde asks the captain if everything is alright and if something's going on. Chaney says it's just a bad feeling. Mocking, the blonde asks if the GOB is scared, then starts laughing and says maybe it's time for their captain to retire. Suddenly, something catches him off guard. Smithen, the blonde, gets shot in the stomach out of nowhere. Several shots are fired from within the woods toward them. The captain yells for everyone to take cover. The soldiers hide behind trees to try and avoid the bullets. Chaney drags Smithen to try and save him, but Smithen doesn't respond. Chaney yells for him to answer, and keeps dragging his comrade amid the gunfire and explosions. The captain notices they're using grenade launchers, so they're not just simple sentries. Chaney shouts to the other soldiers asking if they're okay. Apparently nothing too serious happened, but the ambush seems to have been planned. Several enemy soldiers advance toward them with their weapons. There are many, firing non-stop. Then the captain notices they're just a bunch of idiots who came to get them. He shoots some of them right in the head and eliminates as many as he can. Upon hitting the driver of one of the enemy vehicles, it crashes into a tree, injuring several more. Chaney asks Smithen if he needs morphine. The blonde responds and says he doesn't want morphine, then asks the captain how he's doing. Looking at his comrade, Chaney realizes he's lost a lot of blood and probably has damaged organs. So he tells Smithen it's just a scratch and not to panic. Another soldier behind a tree yells at Chaney, asking what he's going to do. The captain stays silent for a moment. Smithen's wounds are severe. They would need to retreat to save him. Smithen tells the captain that he knows what to do. Smiling, he tells Chaney to move forward, but the captain gets furious and curses at him. Then he asks Smithen who he is. The wounded soldier gasps and trembles as he suffers in pain. Chaney shakes him, trying to get his comrade to react. Smithen smiles and says that he is the god of the Blackfield. An explosion happens right next to the 2 of them. Chaney curses the enemies, then hears a scream. He quickly turns toward Daeru. The soldier has blood on his head, but says he's fine. Tense, Chaney tells him to hold on just a little longer. They're not far from the enemy headquarters. Then the captain charges forward, shouting that they will fight. He gets shot. The bullet pierces through the back of his head. Blood splashes everywhere. Chaney was shot from behind. The enemies advance on the soldiers with their weapons. Chaney wonders if it was a sniper. Someone betrayed them. He feels pain in his head, then wonders why he didn't die. Instead, he feels very thirsty. Chaney wonders if someone is there. Someone is speaking to him in a different language, asking if Chaney can hear him. This person says his recovery speed is fast since he's young. Chaney opens his eyes and the man with him asks how the boy feels. The captain is weak and nearly unconscious. The doctor asks the nurse to check the boy's vital signs, and Chaney wonders where he is. Someone yells in the hospital that patient Kang Chan is waking up. The doctor asks the MC how he is feeling, but he only wonders where he is. The doctor says he recovered very quickly, but it's still too early for relief. Taking something from the nurse, the man asks how the MC is feeling, if he's in pain anywhere. Finally, our hero asks where he is. Calmly, the doctor says he's in a hospital, and the boy asks which one. The man answers it's Sibyol in Gangnam. Then the doctor tells Nurse Kim to call the boy's guardian since he's doing fine. The MC thinks about how Gangnam is in Korea and asks who brought him there. The doctor says obviously it was the ambulance. Then the boy gets indignant and says it's impossible for an ambulance to have reached where he was. The man sighs and asks Kim to stay with the boy because he seems confused after being unconscious for 3 days. Yelling, the MC gets up and says everyone there is talking nonsense and he's fed up. Something catches his attention, and our hero leaves the bed. He starts walking as the doctor says he shouldn't get up. The boy stops in front of a mirror. Then he's shocked. He asks what is happening. He has a different appearance, like he's someone else. In the big city, a car drives. Our hero found out a few things after staying in the hospital for a few more days. His name is Kang Chan and he is 29 years old. He was a team instructor and captain of the French mercenary forces. In July 2016, he lost consciousness after being shot during a mission in the African War. Actually, it's more accurate to say that he died in battle. Later, he regained consciousness in 2019 in South Korea. He wasn't in a coma for 3 years or anything like that. In fact, he changed bodies. It's interesting that the name of that new body is also Kang Chan, and he's 19 years old in his last year of high school. He had jumped from the roof of the school he was attending, Shimakai in Gangnam, and was in a coma for 3 days until he woke up. But it wasn't him who woke up, it was our MC. Someone beside him says that's their house and asks if the boy remembers. The woman sitting close to him is Yu Hae-suk, his mother, actually the mother of that different body. The woman tells the boy not to rush. The man driving says the doctor said his memories should return if he rests well. The guy is Kang Da-gyeom, the father of that body. And that place seems to be the home of that body. The car parks. The parents and Chan get out. They go up to the apartment they live in. The mother asks if he remembers that house, but the father tells her to take it easy. He supports himself on his son's shoulder and tells him to go rest in his room. Chan is standing in front of 2 doors. He starts heading toward one of them, but his father says his room is on the other side. Chan opens the bedroom door. He glances at his parents and enters the room. The father and mother are left speechless. The mother asks what they should do about their son, but the father says everything will be fine. That room is 100 times better than the commander's personal room. So that kid must be from a wealthy family. The most interesting thing there is definitely the computer. Chan turns on the CPU and sits in front of the monitor. But the PC asks for a password. Chan wonders if he should ask his parents. Then a cell phone catches his attention. He's relieved that he can still use the phone, but also asks for a password. Chan wonders why the boy had so many secrets to hide. He places his finger on the phone's fingerprint reader. The screen unlocks instantly. Chan starts browsing the device. He wants to find some clue about his death and reincarnation, so he searches for the 2016 war in Africa. But the browser says there are no results to display. He wonders if it's because he typed in Korean. Maybe he should look for French articles. But before he can do that, a notification arrives. It's a man named Lee Hojin asking if he's been discharged. Chan wonders if he's a friend and decides to just send a quick reply. So he types that he has. Immediately, the phone vibrates with another notification. This time, it startles Chan. Lee Hojin curses at him and asks why he didn't say anything, and if he wants to die that badly. Chan wonders what's wrong with Lee Hojin, and if he's really his friend. Then he decides to ignore him and continue his search. He keeps browsing on the phone. Lee Hojin asks if he's being ignored and if he's lost his mind. Chan concludes that this guy is really annoying, so he replies saying he's busy. Suddenly, he gets a call. He takes a deep breath and answers the phone. Someone on the other end asks if he's insane, calling him a little piece of shit. Chan laughs and the voice yells, asking if he suddenly got brave after leaving the hospital. Calmly, Chan says he's busy and is going to hang up. Lee Hojin yells at him. He tells the little punk to come out immediately and starts counting to 5, but Chan hangs up. He figures it would be annoying if Lee called again, so he decides to block the contact. At school, someone shouts that Kang Chan is trash. It's Lee Hojin complaining that that piece of crap blocked him. Furious, he curses and throws his phone hard on the ground. He's panting in rage. A classmate asks why he smashed a phone he bought only 2 months ago. Outraged, Lee Hojin says he'll just make Kang Chan buy him another one. The classmate laughs and says it's true. Hojin's never bought anything with his own money. Then Hojin says he dares Kang Chan to come back to school. Night falls on the city. Chan is leaning on the bedroom desk. He checked every article he could, but found nothing about that war in Africa. He wonders if that's due to military secrecy or if there are other reasons. The boy gets thoughtful, then gets up. After thinking for a long time, he needs to go out for a smoke. Chan starts searching the room, wondering if that kid has any cigarettes around. He checks the boy's backpack and thinks that Lil Brat was a real nerd. Looking at the books, he wonders if something could be hidden there. Opening a small cabinet, he finds several things inside. Picking up a notebook, he thinks that's the perfect place to hide something. But upon reading what's written, he realizes it's a diary, where the boy says he gave them money again and still doesn't understand why they treat him like that. Chan reads the diary pages. They're the boys venting about how he suffered and was mistreated by his classmates. Then the MC realizes that kid was being bullied. There's a page in the diary where the boy says he's going to take them all down. Our hero thinks how stupid that is. If he were going to kill someone, he should do it quietly. He sits on the bed. In the end, there's nothing to smoke, and that body is being intimidated. All of it is making him tired. Chan lies on the bed and closes his eyes. He falls asleep quickly. Night passes and day breaks. A car drives through the city. It's driven by Chan's father, who's taking him to school. The boy is silent in the back seat. As they park in front of the school, the father asks if the boy really wants to attend class and says he should have rested more at home. Chan says he's fine and wants to go out after being stuck inside for so long. Smiling, his father asks him not to overdo it. The boy smiles and agrees. He gets out of the car and enters the school. In front of the building, he realizes he doesn't know where his classroom is, so he starts walking through the school. It would be nice if someone helped him. Suddenly, someone shouts for Kang Chan. Everyone starts murmuring among themselves, worried. It's Lee Hojin, who approaches menacingly and asks if that's not the Kang Chan who got extra steel balls at the hospital. The boy is startled. Furious, Hojin asks if he has nothing to say about what he did the previous day over the phone. Then Chan smiles. Hojin gets closer and asks what he's laughing about and if he hit his head. Chan says, smiling, that they found his assistant. Hojin is confused. Then he asks if the boy is Lee Hojin. Shouting, the blonde confirms and says that because of Chan, he had to handle his own lunches and cigarettes for a while. Smiling, Chan asks if Hojin smokes and requests a cigarette from him. With his hand outstretched, he insists. Angrily, Lee Hojin says he was waiting until break time, but now he'll have to forget that. Chan needs some morning lessons to straighten up. He gets close to the boy and yells for him to follow. The two enter the school gym. Chan is following Hojin, who stops and looks at him smiling, then starts saying that Kang Chan is a crazy idiot while throwing punches into the air. He says he had to endure a lot over the past few days because he wasn't there. Chan watches him punching the air without touching him. Then, before Hojin can finish another sentence, he punches him in the face and says he talks too loud. Hojin falls far to the ground. Chan moves toward him, raising his hand to hit him again. He stops the motion just centimeters from Hojin's face, then thinks that killing him would be troublesome. Chan starts searching the pockets of Hojin's jacket, but he doesn't have any cigarettes either. Outraged, Chan walks away. A voice echoes inside the MC's head, asking if he can see that and if he's watching from somewhere to let his mind be at ease. Lee Hojin starts moving. He stands up and is furious. Then he runs toward Chan, but the boy sees him in time and dodges the punches Hojin tries to throw. Chan is speechless and wonders how he got up so fast even after taking a punch to the face. Then he punches him again. Hojin's face is injured. Even so, he gets into a fighting stance again, cursing Chan. Meanwhile, the MC remembers that this isn't his original body. If just one punch isn't enough, he needs to try something else, and decides to do everything he can to make Hojin fall. Even so, Lee Hojin is strong and holds his ground for quite a while. He keeps trying to hit Chan, but the boy is faster and hits his face with several punches. When Lee Hojin falls to the ground, he begins pummeling him without stopping. His eyes are full of fury. Lee Hojin is wrecked on the floor. The boy gets off him and looks at the scene, then remembers he needs to find his classroom. He walks through the school, but now everything is empty. Someone suddenly calls out to him. It's a girl walking quickly toward him. She seems happy to see him and asks if he's already back at school. Chan doesn't respond. The girl asks if he's been discharged, and the boy replies yes while wondering who she is. Thanks to the name tag on her shirt, he knows her name is Kim Mayon, but he doesn't know her relationship to him. Chan reflects that since he's in his last year, he's a senior and doesn't need to worry about too much formality with her. Kim apologizes for not visiting him and says she's been busy with prep school and everything else. The boy starts to say it's fine, but she continues and says everyone in class was worried about him. So he asks if they're in the same class. The girl gets confused and asks what's wrong with him, then says they're classmates. She tries to put her hand on his face and says his injury must still be serious, but Chan dodges and says he's fine. Then asks her to show him the way to the classroom. His focus right now is finding his classroom. They arrive at the room. Looking out the window, Chan thinks that place is perfect for getting shot. Someone enters the classroom. Everyone stops and stares in shock. It's Lee Hojin, covered in blood and furious. A classmate asks him what happened to his face. Another says it doesn't matter, since he was probably fighting with delinquents from another school. Chan wonders if he's in his class. Lee Hojin pulls out a chair and sits down, stressed. His eyes are full of fury. As he stares at him, Chan thinks he's really annoying. Hojin uses his phone to send messages. Angrily, he thinks he'll soon get revenge on Kang Chan. In the schoolyard, a teacher asks if everyone is there. Something catches his attention, and he asks Chan what happened to his clothes. A female classmate says he was hospitalized for a while, and that it's his first day back since being discharged. The teacher seems surprised and tells Chan not to push himself too hard. He's free to choose the activity he wants to do that day, but should be careful not to get hurt. All the students start doing physical activities. Chan sits on the stairs. From afar, Hojin watches him. The boy thinks he has no choice but to continue with that lifestyle for now, but he needs to figure out what to do next. Lee stands in front of him. Chan asks if the boy has something to say to him. Furious, Lee Hojin asks if Chan really thinks he's going to let things stay like that and tells him to follow him somewhere else. Angrily, he turns and walks away. Chan takes a deep breath. People always act like that when he spares them. Somewhere else at school, Chan follows Lee. Then something catches his attention. Hojin brought him to a place with several other people. It's a bunch of guys who are waiting for him. One of them laughs. Another asks Lee Hojin if that little punk really did what they heard. A third says they're going to find out now. The group surrounds Chan. They're ready to attack him. Chan looks around at them. There are 5 of them, and the MC smiles. Then says he's feeling too lazy, so they should all come at once. One of them laughs and asks if Chan's brain isn't working. He charges forward to punch the boy, saying he alone can teach the brat a lesson. But Chan sees it coming and punches him in the face. The guy falls to the ground. The others are shocked. Chan stares with hatred, then says they should listen when an adult gives them a warning and tells the remaining 4 to come at once. Next, he says that since none of them knows how to fight properly, he'll teach them and tells them to aim at different spots. Chan tells each one where they should strike, and the group stares angrily. The MC tells them to use different angles and directions. One of them yells at Chan not to mess with them, saying he just got lucky that one time. Then he shouts for them to charge and get him. But Chan is faster. He dodges their attacks and hits anyone who comes close. Even so, the group doesn't give up. Chan keeps knocking them down, punching them in the face and stomach. Most of them are already on the ground full of rage. One gets up quickly, cursing Chan. He grabs the boy's hair and says he finally caught Chan, then throws a heavy punch at the boy. But once again, Chan dodges in time. The guy is shocked that the other student got back up after being beaten. His body is really weak. Chan grabs the boy and slams him straight into the ground. Watching everything, Lee Hojun wonders how that happened and if that's really the weakling he knows. Chan stares at him with a dark look. One of the guys still standing curses at Chan, then pulls out his switchblade and says he didn't want it to come to this, but he had no choice. Smiling, Chan says that if he's not ready to risk his life, he shouldn't use weapons. Furious, the armed boy lunges and tries to slash Chan, but he dodges. Suddenly, he grabs the hand holding the knife. He twists the arm with the blade and the boy cries out in pain. Quickly, Chan breaks his arm and the boy screams. Chan calls out to Lee Hojun, who watches in fear, and smiles, saying now it's just the 2 of them again. Hojun is terrified. Picking up the knife from the ground, Chan tells Hojun not to be scared and says this is his fault. He held back that morning, which is why Hojun tried to get revenge. With a dark expression, Chan says he won't make the same mistake again, then asks Hojun to choose between being torn apart or having his bones broken. Terrified, Hojun says he was wrong and won't mess with Chan anymore, but Chan keeps approaching with a pocket knife. Suddenly, he hears a noise and looks back. It's the teacher approaching. Angrily, he yells at Chan to stop. Chan watches and thinks about how a regular teacher managed to approach without being detected by him, while Hojun begs the teacher to save him. Chan stares at the teacher. The teacher scolds Kang Chan, saying he's aware of the situation, but he must not go beyond the limits of self-defense. Chan remains silent and looks at the man with anger. The teacher complains about how Chan is looking at him and says that if he keeps acting like that, he'll be expelled and will face serious punishment. Seriously, Chan says he didn't intend to come to school anyway. The man sighs and asks what a student can do if not attend school, then tells Chan to go home and if possible, bring evidence that the group was bullying him. Chan decides to leave because it seems pointless to fight there. The teacher calls out to Chan once more and asks where he learned to fight. The boy hesitates and says it was on the internet. Then the teacher tells him not to lie and says they'll continue that conversation later. Chan walks away. The teacher wonders how someone can change so much after almost dying. Around the city, Chan walks and reflects on whether that was enough to satisfy his original body. He will go back to where he truly belongs. He goes to the barber and gets a new haircut, the same as he had when he was in the military. Seriously, he reflects that this is the real Kang Chan. Next, he heads to a restaurant. A woman welcomes him. He sits at a table and orders a dish. He's feeling nostalgic. He remembers his original self eating that dish while looking at a plane ticket to France. In front of him, a child cried, saying they also wanted to eat that dish. Silently, Chan left the ticket on the table and started eating. Eating that dish with chopsticks is the proper way. Chan licks the food to his mouth with chopsticks, but the taste isn't as good. His phone starts ringing. It's the boy's mother calling. Chan becomes tense, then answers the phone. The mother asks what happened at school. Chan says he'll explain when he gets home, and the woman asks where he is so she can pick him up. Impatient, Chan says he'll tell her when he gets home. Angrily, he slams the phone on the table and stares seriously, knowing that the original owner of that body wouldn't have responded that way. But he jumped from the school rooftop. From up high, he cried and trembled in fear. Even so, he jumped. Chan grabs the food violently. He thinks acting that way is better than taking his own life. At Chan's parents' apartment, his father is furious and says the boy better not come home, while the mother tries to comfort him, saying there must be a reason for all of this. The man says the boy's behavior has changed a lot since the incident and wonders if it's because he came back from the dead. The mother asks him not to say such things. Chan enters the apartment. The mother tells him to sit with him for a while, but Chan turns his back and goes into the room. The father stands up angry, but the mother calms him. Very seriously, Chan comes out of the room with notebooks. He sits and puts the notebooks on the living room table, saying he needs to show them something. Confused, the father asks what that is. Chan asks him to take a look. He grabs one of the notebooks, and the mother grabs another. Upon seeing the contents, she panics. They are the original boy's diaries where he vented about his pain and his desire to end his life. The mother and father are shocked. Then both start to cry. The father asks if all of that is true. Chan answers that it is. Furious, he yells, asking why Chan never told them anything. The MC takes a deep breath and says he didn't want to worry him and felt pathetic and ashamed. That's why he jumped off the roof, but when he woke up, all the fear he felt was gone. With his hand on his head, the father says so that's what happened. Then he asks if Chan regrets having confronted them. The boy stays silent for a moment. The mother asks if he's hurt anywhere. Chan replies that he isn't. Everyone falls silent. The father gets serious and says that's good. He'll take care of the incident from that day himself, and Chan doesn't need to worry about anything. But you must promise that he'll talk to his parents if he's tormented again. Chan is serious and says that won't happen from now on. The father insists, saying they are his parents and have the right to know. Crying, the mother agrees and apologizes to her son. Chan says nothing. He watches his mother cry and his father try to console her. The MC remembers his old home with the sink full of dishes and several empty bottles. His father used to drink non-stop. And when was it over? He asked Chan for more. He used to beat the boy and his mother couldn't do anything. Head down, Chan promises those new parents that he'll tell them everything. They look sad. Chan stands up and says he's going to his room to rest a bit. The father answers a phone call and wishes his son a good rest. He's handling a money-related issue over the phone. The mother asks what's going on. The man says the French contact hired them because he's stuck at customs due to missing documents. And if they transfer 100,000 euros, the local negotiators might be able to find a solution. The mother agrees, saying they'll lose more if customs block the goods, so they should send the money. But Chan returns and tells them to wait and to let him speak on the phone. The father is stunned and confused. Then Chan answers the call. On the other end, someone says they need the payment within 30 minutes or everything will be discarded. Chan asks to speak to the director. The person asks if that's Chief Kang Da-gyeom, and Chan says he's his son and demands to speak to the director again. Chan picks up the phone and the father wonders what his son is planning. On the other end, someone speaks in French and Chan replies in French as well. His parents are shocked. He talks to the director over the phone. The mother asks the father what's happening, but he doesn't know either. Then Chan says goodbye. He returns the phone and his father asks what they said. Chan says they found the missing document and it'll pass through customs smoothly. Happy. The father says the son did a great job and that those negotiators do this kind of thing from time to time. Chan replies that they won't do it again. He said that if it happens again, he'll send Algerian mercenaries to destroy them. The father is shocked. Then Chan says he's just joking. Shocked, the mother asks how he learned to speak French, since school doesn't teach it. Chan looks awkward and says it was from the internet. The father is startled and the mother smiles, saying that modern kids are different from them. Finally, Chan says goodbye and says he's going to his room to rest. He's lying on the bed. Looks like he'll have to postpone his plan to return to France. His body is different now, and the head wound still hasn't fully healed. Besides that, there are the parents. Chan grows thoughtful. Then he turns over annoyed. He doesn't want to think about unnecessary things. Once he's healed, he'll leave without hesitation. The next day, Chan is at school. He thinks he's okay with everything, but he wishes he could do something about that damn school. Tired, he lies down on the desk to nap. Lee Hojin stands in front of him and orders him to follow. The whole gang is there and Chan asks if they're not tired of getting beaten up already. Furious, Hojin says he's not tired and is going to crush him. But Chan lies back down again and tells him to get lost. Lee smiles and says he doesn't need to follow him anyway. He asks if Chan doesn't care about Kim Mayon, supposedly his friend. Chan gets up and asks what he's talking about. Lee Hojin confirms he's talking about Kim Mayon. Confused, the MC asks who she is. Everyone goes silent. Then Lee calls Chan a bastard and says Kim Mayon followed them to the rooftop when they mentioned him, but Chan pretends not to know because he's afraid. Chan remembers Kim Mayon is his classmate and gets up. Angrily, he demands to know where she is. Lee Hojin gives an evil smile. They go up to the rooftop. Something catches Chan's attention. There's a large group of guys there and a few girls. Hojin joins the others, then says he was very careful in preparing all of it. Chan wonders why there are girls there. They're standing in a group talking. One of them notices Chan's presence and asks if he wants to buy something. Angrily, Chan tells them to get down from there. The girl makes an ugly face, then walks up to Chan, asking who he thinks he is. Without hesitation, Chan slaps the girl across the face. She falls to the ground and looks at Chan with anger. With hatred in his eyes, Chan tells her to disappear if she doesn't want to die. She turns to the guys who are there. Lee Hojin says that Chan will pay for that, but she should go down. The girl stands up angrily and orders the boys to make Chan pay for everything. Chan looks around and asks where Kim Mayong is. Meanwhile, Kim Mayong enters the classroom. A classmate asks where she was. Kim explains that she was on her way to school because she missed the bus and arrived late, then asks if someone is looking for her. The classmate turns toward the ceiling. Kim Mayong looks too. On the rooftop, Lee Hojin tells Chan that he was tricked and Kim isn't there, but he acted like a prince trying to save Snow White. Chan thinks that Kim Mayong really does look like Snow White. Calmly, Chan says that in that case, there's nothing to worry about. He turns around and says he's leaving, but the boys there surround him. Chan stays silent. Mocking, Lee Hojin asks if he's afraid of jumping again. Seriously, Chan says he's way too arrogant for his age. Then he realizes what Lee meant. He asks if Hojin was responsible last time. Mocking, Lee asks if he really doesn't remember and says they hadn't even hit him yet, but he begged for his life and jumped on his own. Chan finally understands what happened. He says Lee should have told him that earlier. Laughing, Lee Hojin tells Chan not to act tough, since the strongest guys in Korea are gathered there to take him down. The guys there start to approach. One of them stops in front of Chan and says that no matter how he looks at the boy, he's just a piece of trash. The man grabs Chan's head and asks if he's really as strong as they say. Angrily, Chan says he is. He grabs the man's wrist through his sleeve, and with a swift move, twists his arm. The man curses Chan, but is immediately struck with a knee to the face. Lee Hojin yells that he told him not to drop his guard, then orders the others to go after Chan. The group of boys charges at the MC, but Chan doesn't seem fazed and prepares to strike. One by one, he punches and kicks the group members. They fall, hurt and furious. One of the boys approaches Chan from behind with a knife, but the MC dodges and grabs the weapon by its handle. He twists the boy's arm, who groans in pain. Chan smiles like a psychopath, holding the boy's arm, who begs the MC not to do anything. But Chan doesn't care and destroys his arm. The boy collapses to the ground, trembling. Lee Hojin is stunned by what he just saw. Once again, it's just him and Chan. Furious, Chan says he realizes now that Hojin hasn't reflected at all after nearly ending someone's life. Terrified, the boy screams at Chan not to come any closer. Full of rage, Chan says he's going to treat him like the piece of trash he is. Lee Hojin cowers and screams for the teacher to save him. Chan is confused. Then he realizes that the teacher is there. He has arrived on the rooftop and yells at Chan to stop it. Chan reflects that he doesn't seem like a normal teacher. Then the teacher asks if the boy there is Lee Hojin, who confirms it. Angrily, the teacher yells that he'll deal with him later, then tells him to grab those guys and get out of there. Crying in relief and desperation, Lee agrees. He helps the boys get out, leaving only Chan and the teacher on the rooftop. Lighting a cigarette, the man comments that Hojin didn't even wait a day before coming back. Chan asks how he knew they'd be there. He says Kid Myung told him, but now he wants to know how he plans to deal with that situation. Then he says that the situation is no-K, a word meaning not okay, that was used by the MC's squad, which surprises Chan. Confused, Chan asks what he just said. The teacher yells that Chan is just a high school kid and should act like one, or else he'll regret it in the future. Chan wonders if what happened to him could have happened to his comrade, but he needs to check to be sure. Then the boy says hi to the teacher, who is confused. Something catches him off guard. Chan tries to punch him in the face, but he dodges. The teacher is furious and curses Chan. He tries to return the punch, but Chan dodges too. Both are surprised. They try to land blows on each other several times, getting into a confrontation, but without success. Facing each other, the teacher wonders how a student can fight like that. Then he asks Chan who he is. The boy holds his hand and asks who he could be. The teacher is confused. Then Chan asks, in English, who he is. Immediately, the teacher is startled. Angrily, Chan yells, asking who he is. The teacher is speechless and asks him to finish the sentence. Seriously, Chan says he's the god of Blackfield. The two stare at each other. The teacher is shocked and Chan smiles. He's a soldier in the body of a teenager. In the guidance office, Chan asks if the teacher is really Daeru. The teacher says yes, and the boy asks why his Korean is so good. Daeru replies that he doesn't know. He explains that after Chan passed away, he also died when the ground was stained with his blood. Suddenly, he woke up in bed with a woman. He was in Korea, and that was his wife. Korean just started coming naturally from his mouth. Smiling, Chan says he wouldn't know either way, then asks if he has a cigarette. Daeru says they can't smoke in the guidance office. Chan gets serious and asks what he said. The man tries to say something, but Chan raises his hand as if to strike him. Then Daeru goes to reach into his coat, but gives up and says a teacher shouldn't give cigarettes to a student. Chan asks if he's really going to treat him like a student. Daeru says that no matter the age of his mind, he's in a student's body and won't be getting cigarettes. Angry, Chan turns his face and says he won't smoke anymore. They look at each other and smile. The main character reflects that teacher Seok Kang-ho is Daeru. His reincarnation happened at the same time as his own. Mocking, Chan asks if Daeru enjoyed being in his wife's arms while he was helpless. The man replies that he did, jokingly. Chan starts insulting him, but Daeru tells him to quiet down because someone might hear them. The boy crosses his arms, annoyed. Daeru asks why Chan kept escalating things. Now that he's reincarnated, he should just go to school peacefully. Chan asks what he's supposed to do if they keep coming after him, and mentions that he also doesn't like fighting teenagers. Either way, he has no intention of staying in school. He wants to return to France. Shocked, Daeru asks if he's going back to that place now that he managed to escape. Chan says there was a traitor among them, and if he doesn't find out who it was, all the squad members will have died in vain. Daeru stays quiet, then says that if that's the case, they should go together during the break. Chan says they're not going on a trip, and Daeru says he knows that and is taking it just as seriously. Chan tells him to stay there and live peacefully, and also to do something about those kids so they stop the harassment. Daeru says he was already preparing to deal with them. The main character mocks him, asking if Daeru lost his courage during reincarnation since he has to prepare to deal with mere students. The man asks if Chan didn't notice anything strange while fighting them earlier. Chan is confused, and Daeru comments that there were too many weapons for a fight between kids. Seriously, the boy says there weren't even firearms. Tense, Daeru asks if Chan was really born in Korea. Normal delinquents don't use knives and bats with nails in fights. Chan asks if that's all. Taking a deep breath, Daeru says there's a criminal organization backing those kids. Chan looks confused. The man says nothing is confirmed, but the possibility is high, and he intends to deal with them before break. Then they can go to France together. Angrily, Daeru says he's not joking, and Chan mocks him, saying they can continue that conversation later. He gets up and tells the teacher to speak well of him in the infirmary, then starts walking away and says he's going to take a nap until classes are over. Daeru looks tense. In the infirmary, someone walks through the hallways. Chan is lying down resting. Suddenly, he wakes up to the sound of footsteps and gets up. Looking serious, he asks what the boy wants. It's Lee Hojin, who apologizes for bothering him, then hands him food. Nervously, he says that the first and second years are going to visit him after class and that he's now the school boss. Angrily, Chan tells Lee to go away. The boy apologizes and quickly leaves the room. Chan stays silent. In the late afternoon, as he walks down the stairs, everyone is scared of him. In the hallways, no one gets close until Kim Mayong sees him. Happy, she walks up to him. Chan is confused. Kim Mayong hands in his backpack and asks if he's feeling better. He takes the backpack seriously and says it's nothing, then asks her not to bother him. The girl is left speechless. Someone calls Kang Chan, and both he and Kim Mayong look. It's the girls who were on the rooftop. Their leader walks up and tells him to go with them because someone wants to see him. Chan says that must be a joke, and tells Kim Mayong they should leave. The girl gets angry and yells for Chan, but he ignores her. Outside, Kim Mayong says it seems that Unsel, the girl who just talked to them, has her eye on him. Worried, Kim asks him to be careful because that girl is known for sleeping with guys everywhere. Chan has no reaction. Kim would be traumatized if she knew how Westerners behave. Outside the school, a group of men in black are waiting. They see Chan and compare him to a photo on a cell phone. One confirms with the other if that's the right person. Chan wonders what that's about and notices the men are staring at him. The man calls Chan over to their car and the boy realizes what this is. It's probably about those people Daeru mentioned earlier. Kim grabs Chan's uniform and begs him not to go. She's trembling a lot, but the boy lets go of her hand and walks toward the men saying it's fine. He stops in front of the four. One asks if he's Kang Chan and the boy confirms, asking what the man wants. Angrily, the guy curses Chan and says he's really cocky. The boy thinks that it's just four guys, so it won't be too dangerous if they end up fighting. But he's worried about the people around, including Kim, who's watching him in fear. One of the men tells Chan to stop making that face. They don't want to fight. Then tells Chan to get in the car because they need to talk. Chan is confused. He's serious, and the man smiles. Kim is watching everything terrified. The men keep staring at Chan. One of them places his hand on his head and says the boy's acting all tough. Angrily, Chan tells him to take his hand off. The man complains, saying he had planned to be nice because Chan's just a kid, but changed his mind. Chan acts faster and grabs the man by his shirt. He headbutts him hard, then grabs his arm. Throw the man to the ground. Everyone watching is shocked by the fight. They take out their phones and start recording and snapping pictures. One of the men still standing yells to get rid of those phones. Another starts smashing them on the ground. The teens panic and put their phones away. Pulling out a knife, the man curses Chan. The MC takes his backpack off his shoulder. Another man tells his partner not to pull out a knife in front of the school. They should keep things reasonable. Just make sure Chan doesn't mess with them for the rest of the day. Two of the men get ready to hit Chan with their bare hands, but the boy is ready. He's surrounded and thinks the men are good at positioning, definitely better than those punks from before. Running toward Chan, one of them yells for the boy not to die too fast, but Chan is faster. He punches the man in the face, then throws several more punches. Meanwhile, the other man flies at him ready to attack. The MC sees him in time and blocks, then turns around and punches the man in the stomach. With Chan's back turned, the previous man tries to attack again. Again, Chan is faster and punches him. Another punch comes from the side. The boy quickly dodges and tries to kick the man who defends. With a swift move, he throws the man far away, but the brute doesn't fall. Chan thinks that with this body, they'll take a while to bring those adults down. The leader of the men chuckles. The MC is startled and suddenly gets hit from behind. Furious, he looks back. If Daeru were there, he'd mock him non-stop for getting hit like that. Smiling, the leader says they've seen what the boy can do. Now he should behave and go with them since they didn't come to fight. Angrily, Chan says he doesn't care why they're there. He's not in the mood to follow them. Taking his hand out of his pocket, the man says he understands and can't do anything about it. Then he tries to hit Chan with a blow, yelling that they can only teach him a lesson. Quickly, the boy defends himself. He grabs the man's wrist and twists his arm, then lands an elbow to his face. The other two men have already recovered and rushed toward Chan, saying now they're going to go all out. The boy gets into a fighting stance, but something catches their attention. It's Kim, who's on the phone with the police saying there's a street fight going on. She's scared and starts giving the location. The leader of the group says that's really annoying and says they're leaving for now, but they'll remember this. Furious, Chan says that next time he shows up, he'll break his arms. The group gets into the car and drives away. Kim takes a deep breath and asks Chan if they can go now. Looking at her, he says it'll be a problem if the police question them. Calmly, the girl says they won't show up. She was only pretending to be on a call, and that she thought Chan didn't want to be bothered by those men. Chan wonders if he should think she's smart or just stupid. Someone is staring at him from afar. Chan approaches her. It's Unsel, who looks at him angrily. Getting closer, Chan says that if she keeps acting like that, they're going to take advantage of her and toss her aside in the end. Unsel pushes him and yells, asking who he thinks he is to talk to her like that. The girl looks at him with intense anger. Chan turns around and walks away. As he walks off with Kim, Unsel yells that he's an idiot. The boy feels pain in his back, though he wasn't hit that hard. His body is really weak. Kim asks if it hurts a lot and if he wants her to call an ambulance, but the boy says they should go eat. Then he asks if she likes tonkatsu, and Kim is surprised. Then she smiles and says yes. The next day in class, the teacher gives a lecture on humanity. It's a philosophy class talking about great Eastern philosophers. Chan is very bored by the class and the teacher's rambling. He dozes off, but Kim wakes him to let him know class is over. Lying on the desk, Chan thinks he'd rather pick up a gun and head to the battlefield than sit through that class. Someone rumbles behind Kim. It's several boys who have surrounded her and Chan. He asks what they want. One of them introduces the group as being from the first and second years. They hand him an envelope saying it's the weekly payment. Chan is confused and asks who told them to do this. The boy tries to explain and looks in the direction of Lee's seat. Chan gets furious and tells the boy to take the money back and stop doing what Lee tells them and not to hang around in large groups. Tiger Chan lies back down on the desk and tells them to get lost. The boys agree and leave. One of them stays behind. Annoyed, Chan asks if he has something to say. The boy says the PE teacher called him to the guidance office. Chan realizes it was Daeru who called him. He goes to meet his friend. Daeru says he heard Chan got into another fight. The boy complains that rumors spread too fast and says it wasn't a big deal. Seriously, Daeru asks his captain to stop getting into trouble. He's not a kid anymore. Mocking, Chan asks why he's saying that and who was the one who got into the most trouble in Africa. Daeru complains that they're not in Africa anymore. There are security cameras and phones everywhere, and at this rate, Chan's going to get expelled. Chan says it wouldn't be bad to get expelled. Tired, the man complains that Chan is too stubborn and tells him to hear his request before leaving. Chan asks what it's about, and the man says there are 4 students at school who are suffering serious bullying. He wants Chan to take care of them. Tense, the boy says that if he does that, once he leaves, things will get worse. It shouldn't interfere. Then Daeru says he'll let Chan skip class and asks if that motivates him. The boy asks how he'd do that. And the teacher says he just needs to attend morning classes if he's registered as a student athlete. Even if he sleeps in class, no one will bother him. Besides that, he needs to train. If he returns to Africa in his current state, he won't survive more than a week. Chan becomes thoughtful and confirms there are 4 students. Daeru confirms. In the school hallways, Chan walks tensely. Unsel stops him and says they need to talk for a bit, but Chan walks right past her. She gets angry, then yells, asking if he's ignoring her and saying what happened to her was his fault. Chan is confused. Trembling, the girl talks about the guys from the previous day. The boy looks at her serious and tells Unsel to follow him. Kim watches the whole situation. She's worried about the boy. On the rooftop, Chan asks Unsel to speak. She says they told her to bring him there. Otherwise, they'll cut out Lee Hojin's tongue and send her to some island where she'll be sold to a brothel. Chan tells her to go to the police and asks if they're not just 5 minutes away from there. Desperate, the girl screams that if she does that, they'll go after her family. Then she promises that if he goes to meet the men, she'll do whatever he wants. Turning to her, Chan asks if she's sure she'd do anything. Trembling, the girl says yes. Chan stands in front of her and reaches his hand out toward the girl. The girl is crying. Chan understands that, in the end, she's just like them. Wiping her tears, Chan says she looks terrible. She should clean her face and stop wearing makeup. Seriously, he tells her to also wear her uniform properly. Unsel is confused, and Chan asks if she didn't promise to do anything. The girl asks if that's all, and Chan asks if she wants to do something more. Unsel says no. Then Chan tells her to call them right now. She starts to say something. Chan asks if she doesn't have their number. The girl says she does, but she can't call. The boy tells her to call anyway. Unsel stares at him and agrees, picking up her phone. She scrolls through her contacts and stops to find the right number. The man sees Hugh Unsel's call on his phone. He answers and asks why she's calling and if she suddenly grew some balls. Chan grabs her phone and says this is Kang Chan speaking. The man is surprised. He says Unsel must have already explained the situation. She will tell him where they are and Chan must go there right now. Seriously, Chan says he's busy until the weekend. They should meet on Monday. Angrily, the man starts saying Chan is in no position to negotiate. But the boy says if it's not Monday, he's not going. The man looks at the phone frustrated. He looks to the side. There's a silhouette of a man there. Then he asks if Chan will really show up on Monday, and the boy confirms. The man says fine, but he can't run away. Chan says he won't, but the man should stop bothering Unsel. After ending the call, Chan gives the phone back to Unsel, who thanks him. He starts to leave, but Unsel asks for his number, in case he needs her for something. Chan thinks that if Smithen were alive, they would have been soulmates. The boy nods and agrees, telling her to meet him Monday after school. Then he leaves, leaving Unsel there. She's speechless. Time passes. Chan is walking down the street. He thinks about everything: France, training, 4 students getting bullied, Unsel, and the gangsters. It's all too complicated. Kim calls out to Chan and runs after him. The boy greets the girl, calling her Snow White. She asks if she can go with him, and the boy agrees. Both walk in silence, until Kim speaks to him. Shy, she asks if he likes Unsel. Chan is confused. Blushing, Kim says it's because he was with her earlier. Looking down, she says she can't even put on makeup to look prettier. The boy is shocked and speechless, trying to understand what she's talking about. Then he says Kim misunderstood. There's nothing going on between them. They were just talking about the fight from the previous day. Excited, Kim asks if that means he's not interested in her, and Chan asks why he would be interested in her. He gets confused and asks why she's saying such nonsense, while Kim thanks God. Suddenly, Chan understands. He asks, concerned, if Kim likes him. The girl turns red. She looks away and nods, then turns her face shy. Chan wonders if this is serious. The boy thinks he's 29 years old. Chan and Kim are sitting on a park bench. He looks at her, and the girl is staring at him with a shy smile. Then she asks if he wants to kiss her, but Chan asks why she'd say that so suddenly. Getting closer, Kim asks if he doesn't want to. Backing away, Chan says they're still students. The girl starts to look sad. She lowers her head and says that their classmates do it, and Chan wonders if there's no middle ground and if all students are like that. Breaking into a cold sweat, he thinks he needs to deal with that situation first, so he says that if she gets first place in the next school test, he'll kiss her. Excited, Kim agrees and says she's always been in first place until now, which makes her confident. The girl stands up happily and says that finally Chan will have to kiss her. Chan is left speechless. The girl stands in front of him intimidatingly, growing huge and wanting to kiss him. The boy tries to run away from her desperately, but there's no escape. Suddenly, he wakes up from the nightmare of a giant Kim trying to kiss him. Chan is in his house. He's confused about what just happened, then wonders what kind of crazy dream that was. Looking at the clock, it's already time to go to school. Chan walks out of his room in his uniform. His mother is surprised. He passes by her and says he's heading out. The woman asks where he's going. Chan says to school, but she replies that it's Saturday, so he has no reason to go to school. The mother asks if his head is hurting. Chan gets nervous and says he's in his final year, so he's going to take extra classes, and the mother is shocked. As Chan leaves, she wishes him a good day. On the streets, Chan reflects that the world has become really convenient since now they don't have to go to school on Saturdays. Chan calls Daeru and asks where he is. The man mocks Chan about the excuse of extra classes. Chan asks what else he could have said and asks where they're going. Excited, Daeru says they're heading somewhere in the mountains to relax and eat boiled chicken surrounded by nature. The car speeds down the road. It parks in front of a house in the woods, and Daeru says it's time to eat. Daeru drinks a beer. Chan complains that only he's drinking and asks for a bit, but the man says he's in a school uniform, so he won't drink. Angry, Chan says that Daeru shouldn't drink either since he'll be driving. Calmly, Daeru says they have a driving service in Korea. Chan comments that he's already Korean to the core. Smiling, Daeru says he's been living there for some time, unlike his friend. So Chan asks if he likes it, if he's satisfied with his current lifestyle. Daeru stays silent for a moment and comments that the important question has arrived. At first, he felt like he was going insane, trying to act and live like someone he wasn't. He screamed in desperation and his wife tried to calm him down. His daughter also came along. There was a reason he was able to endure it. His wife and daughter. Daeru worried about who he'd leave behind if he suddenly disappeared. Besides, if he went back to Africa in that body, he wouldn't be able to do anything. Chan looks at him seriously. The man says that since the universe was crazy enough to give him a second chance, he started thinking he should live properly. Smiling, the MC says this country is really nice, very peaceful. Daeru asks if he should really be saying that after getting into a knife fight 2 days ago. They both laugh. Chan gets serious again and says he's going to meet with the gangsters on Monday. His friend is shocked and asks where that's going to be. The MC says he doesn't need to know, and Daeru asks if it's not unfair to keep secrets between them. Then Chan says he won't tell because otherwise Daeru will follow him that day. Outraged, the man says that Chan's body is that of a regular student. He can't fight as well as before. Annoyed, Chan says he'll handle his problems on his own and tells his friend not to get involved. Daeru stays quiet. They both eat until the man calls him captain and asks how many people he's killed up to that point. Chan is confused. Daeru asks if it wasn't more than a few hundred. Chan says there's no way to know and asks why he's bringing that up all of a sudden. Seriously, Daeru asks Chan not to go and says that if he can just look the other way and ignore these problems, he could fit into that peaceful world. Chan watches for a moment and thanks him for the concern, but he knows the man knows him well. Once they finish dealing with that incident, they should return. At night, Daeru drops Chan off at home. The boy announces he's back and heads to his room. There, he closes his eyes and imagines the enemies. He gets ready to fight them. There are several, all with knives or bats. Chan hits them with punches to the face. He moves faster than the gangsters and uses dodging and counterattacks. Suddenly, he gets hit. Someone stabbed him in the back. As Chan gets distracted, they all start hitting him. He screams in pain, then falls to his knees on the ground. The boy is panting. The image of those men starts to blur. His body can't keep up with his mind. It's weaker and slower. Chan wonders if he can really win against them. Someone calls for Chan, asking if he's asleep. The boy puts on a shirt and says no, inviting his mother to come in. He's sitting calmly on a chair and asks if she shouldn't have gone to bed too. The woman says she was just about to, then asks if the boy will be busy the next day. He looks confused. His mother asks if he remembers her friend Sangui and says they decided to have lunch the next day and her friend will bring her son. It would be nice if Chan went too. Chan gets nervous. Tense, the mother says he doesn't have to go if he's busy. She looks visibly sad. Then Chan says he has nothing important the next day, so he'll go. The woman gets really excited. The next day, they go to the French restaurant they scheduled, and Chan blames himself for not training. He looks at the name of the place and concludes it must be high class. His mother is nervous and tells them to go in. They both enter the restaurant. It's a huge and fancy place. The woman looks around searching. Chan signals to her. Sitting at a table is a very cheerful woman with a boy beside her. His mother greets Xiangui. Something catches Chan's attention. Two girls are speaking in French about how handsome Chan is. The boy gets happy, feeling flattered, then greets Xiangui. Her son replies in French. Chan wonders what's up with that idiotic accent. He looks at the boy, who smiles at him. Xiangui starts giggling, making Chan's mother embarrassed. He takes a deep breath because he understands how this is going to go. Sitting at the table again, Sangui says her son, Da-sik, has very qualified private tutors and she'll recommend them to Chan. Laughing, Chan's mother says she'll look into it later. Then Sangui asks how Chan's grades are. His mother replies that they're good. The woman gets upset and says that since he attends a regular school and not a prestigious one, he should be top of his class. Chan's mother is left speechless, embarrassed. Da-sik calls the waiter in French. The waiter asks what he wants and the boy asks for a glass of water. The staff serves Da-sik. Sang-hui, egocentric, says her son learned to speak French thanks to his excellent school, and that she looks for restaurants like that to educate him properly. Shai, Chan's mother, says that he can also speak French. Then Sang-hui asks which prep course he's attending or if he has a private tutor. The woman replies that he learned online. Mocking, Sang-hui questions her. She and her son start laughing. She says that's hilarious and asks if her friend is joking, then mocks, saying Chan must be a genius. Then she says, sarcastically, that no one should spend money on private teachers if they have the internet. Speaking in French, Chan tells Sang-hui not to overdo it. The girls at the table next to them are shocked. Sang-hui and her son too. Even Chan's mother is speechless. One of the girls at the nearby table shyly asks if Chan understood everything they said. He replies in French that he didn't mean to eavesdrop, but yes, his attention did turn to them. Then says he doesn't intend to go on a date with them, so they shouldn't let their imaginations run wild. The girls get really embarrassed. Trying to ease the moment, Chan says the idiot in front of him can barely speak French and the two ladies didn't understand a word. Nervous, Sang-hui's son says that Chan is probably just trying to greet the girls at the next table. Very excited, Chan's mother says he learned French on the internet and starts telling a story about when they got a call from France and he handled it. One of the girls at the nearby table says in French that it's impossible Chan learned the language online. Chan smiles and asks if the girl understands Korean, then asks her to go speak to his mom so she can brag and he'll owe her one. The girl says that's an interesting offer. Then she stands up. The group of girls stands in front of their table. Chan's mother asks what's going on and he replies that they had fun talking to him and wanted to greet her. Chan introduces them as Michelle, Sisel, and Cindy, and his mother asks him to give the girls her regards. They start talking again. Sang-hui suddenly gets up and Chan's mother asks if she's leaving already. Laughing, the woman says it's late and she almost forgot Da-sik has English class that same day. Chan's mother says goodbye to the woman, but she tries to leave as quickly as possible. Chan thanks the girls and tells them they can go back to their seats, but one of them says she's not leaving. The boy is confused. Smiling, she says he owes her one. Nervously, he asks what he can do for her, handing her his phone, and the girl asks for his number. The girl says he must know what she's talking about since he eavesdropped on their conversation. He knows they're interested in him. Chan gets nervous. Smiling, Chan tells her to stop joking. Leaning on the table, the girl asks if she looks like she's joking. Then she asks if he's the kind of man who goes back on his word and breaks promises. Chan realizes he's cornered. On Monday, Chan is in an enclosed space training. He remembers what the girl said about him going back on his word and gives a little smile. Someone asks what he's laughing about. It's Daeru standing seriously in front of him. Chan stands up and says it's nothing important, then complains that he can barely lift his arm after a short warm-up. Daeru comments that's why he should stop and call the police. The boy chuckles and his friend complains. He says at this rate, he'll be going to France with a crutch by his side. Chan says that when it's all over, they'll start a sports club so that after he leaves, the students can defend themselves. Smiling, Daeru agrees and says that'll make it easier to buy training equipment since they'll have the club budget. He could even be the supervisor. Then he remembers why he's there and complains that Chan's become weak and his opponents are gangsters. In French, Chan recites the French Foreign Legion's motto, saying the Legion is his homeland. Daeru repeats, the Legion is my homeland. Chan tells him to finish the sentence. The man shouts that they never retreat. While getting dressed, Chan says Undul and Lee Hojin are two idiots, but he promised he'd go. He'd rather get stabbed than break a promise. Daeru looks at him silently serious. The man says he loves his wife and asks the captain not to make him go to jail for waving a knife to save him. Wiping sweat from his face, Chan says it won't be necessary. As Chan walks away, Daeru complains and tells his friend to stop being stubborn and let him go along, but the boy refuses. Then he asks if the man remembers what happened in Mangala. Daeru complains that he's bringing that up now. The school bell rings. Chan leaves serious and walks toward a black car. A man inside the vehicle asks if he's Kang Chan. The boy nods and is invited in. They go to a building, go down a staircase, take elevator. Chan observes everything. They're in a fancy and mysterious place. Chan sees 6 rooms on the left and 5 on the right. They enter a room with a table full of gangsters and food. Chan looks at them, serious. The man at the head of the table tells him not to look down on adults and to sit. Chan sits down tense. Smiling, the man says he likes the boy's look. Many of them suggested quietly getting rid of Chan, but he has a different opinion. Someone brave like him should be kept alive. The man says Chan is too young to drink with him, so he'll be brief, then asks what he thinks about joining them. Otherwise, he might regret his decision for the rest of his life. Chan laughs, angrily. The man asks why he's laughing. Staring at him, Chan says he'll also be brief, then tells the man to stop interfering in his school. Chan says he doesn't care what they usually do, but they shouldn't involve innocent kids in their criminal activities. Furious, the man says he's disappointed. He thought Chan was brave, but he's just a coward. Gripping his chopsticks tightly, Chan says that coward is telling him to get out of the school. One of the men lunges at him, cursing, but Chan dodges the punch, then strikes the man's hand with his chopsticks. He screams in pain. The leader orders the other men to grab the boy. 3 of them charge at Chan, cursing and saying they're going to teach him some manners. But one by one, the young man manages to strike them down. The three end up defeated as Chan stands over them staring. Then he looks at the leader. Full of rage, the man glares at Chan. He charges at him, but the young man dodges and grabs him by the neck. Meanwhile, the man yells that Chan won't get away unharmed. Someone kicks the door open with a loud bang. Chan is startled. Several men appear, holding knives, bottles, and metal pipes as weapons. Laughing, the man Chan is holding says it's over for him now. The boy shouts that if they don't want their boss's neck to snap, they better stay back. One of them charges anyway. Chan kicks him away. The man is sent flying. The others shout for everyone to get Chan. They all begin attacking the boy. He dodges and one of their blows hits their boss in the face. But Chan feels pain in his arm and wonders if his strength isn't enough to hold him. The man yells for them all to finish off the kid. Chan takes a blow to the face. Then he delivers a kick that sends the man flying. The boy runs, stepping over the man. He leaps over the gangsters, kicking those in his way and pushing off the walls to run through the air and escape. Everyone is stunned, and Chan makes it out of the crowd. But he ends up getting struck from behind. They all start attacking at once. The boy tries to defend himself and thinks he should be in his real body. He screams as he tries to fight back. The men keep yelling and Chan strikes at whoever is in front of him. Many fall to the ground injured. They're bleeding and gasping for air, but they don't give up. Chan is exhausted. Someone yells for the men to move aside and walks through the crowd. There are two men, one of them asking why everyone is getting beat up by a brat. Chan realizes those two are different. One says he'll give the boy a painful death and turn him into dog food. The boy senses that this is the look of a seasoned killer. Both men prepare with their knives and sword, but then a loud crash echoes. Everyone turns around and sees a man standing there. It's Daeru, wearing a mask and holding a bat. A gangster asks who he is and charges at him, but Daeru swiftly knocks him down with one strike. Everyone is stunned. Chan is confused. Daeru just stands there. More gangsters begin charging at the teacher, but he's ready and starts fighting them. Then Chan realizes what's going on. That masked man is his friend. Smiling, Chan mocks him, saying Daeru is just as stubborn as he is. One of the assassins asks who that man attacking his people is. The other replies that doesn't matter, just another body to bury. Looking at Chan, the swordsman says things are about to get busy. He charges at the boy with his weapon, saying they'll end this quickly. With extremely fast movements, Chan manages to dodge the attacks, until he's hit in the thigh. He feels an intense pain. Meanwhile, the other assassin appears from the other side, saying he's there too. With a swift movement, he manages to cut Chan's shoulder even as he tries to dodge. Smiling, the man charges forward, saying the boy is way too slow. He lands a few more blows to the boy's stomach. Chan tries to defend himself, but he's covered in cuts. The MC grows tense from the injuries. Charging him with his knife, the man says this is the end. But Daeru sees it all. As the man closes in, the teacher yells for Chan. The boy remembers the day he died, when the enemy troops number between 350 and 500. Daeru asking him what that meant. Him shooting at enemies during the ambush, and also how Smithen died after being hit. He had yelled at his friend, asking who he was. And the man said he was the god of Blackfield. The knife stops just millimeters from Chan's eye. He caught the blade with his bare hand. The assassin is stunned. He uses his other hand to attack with another knife, but Chan manages to grab his wrist. Furious, the man wonders how that brat can be so strong. Chan says the real nickname his enemies gave him was God of Blackfield. Staring at the man full of rage, Chan says he's going to end him, then headbutts him. The man stumbles back from the impact. Quickly, Chan gets ready to punch him, and lands a blow to his face. Wounded, the assassin collapses to the ground. His companion is left speechless, but Chan is already charging at him. With a swift movement, he hits the man's face, who falls to the ground unresponsive. Chan stares at him. He's trembling on the floor. The boy gets ready to hit him in the face. Meanwhile, he keeps staring at the man. Chan prepares to strike his jugular, but Daeru yells that he can't kill him. Chan halts his blow inches from the man's neck, and looks at his friend, then stands up. All the gangsters are badly injured, staring at him. Daeru keeps looking at Chan, who tells the men there to hide in the rooms if they don't want to die. They stare at him, and begin silently heading to the rooms. They all hide. Chan leans against the wall. He's panting heavily and wounded, then ends up collapsing to the floor. Daeru walks over and says he thought he'd never see him again. Smiling, Chan asks where he got that ridiculous mask. The teacher replies it's from a little monkey popular among kids, then tells them to get out of there. Chan says if they leave like that, someone will call the police. Daeru tells Chan to stay there for a bit because he's going to check if there's someone who can cover them. Chan searches his pocket, but there aren't any cigarettes in his wallet. Something catches his attention. He hears footsteps around 20 people and wonders if they're reinforcements. A group of men approaches. Chan tries to stand up, but his body can't move. The men stare at him, and one steps forward from among them. He smiles at Chan and says he had his doubts, but the boy really is a student. The man tells one of his men to go check the situation inside, then introduces himself as Oh Guangtek. Everyone knows him as the guy from Sinsadong. He came because he heard the parking lot group had fallen. Chan asks the man if he has a cigarette. One of the henchmen behind him yells at the boy, telling him to show respect when speaking to Oh Guangtek. The boss, furious, yells at him, asking who told him to speak to Chan like that and if he thinks he can take the boy in a fight. Someone shouts for them to get out of the way. It's Daeru, walking through the crowd behind Chan. The man asks if the boy is okay, and he nods. Oh Guangtek laughs, saying the whole situation is hilarious. A student and a guy with a monkey mask. One of the henchmen comes back saying the parking lot group is done. Although no one died, 5 were seriously injured. The man asks if that's all and says he's leaving, telling the henchman to deal with the aftermath. Then Wangtaek says that since Chan and Daeru wanted to handle things quietly, they can go to the hospital that takes care of his people. Chan stays silent, staring at the man. At night in the hospital, there are guards at the door. Inside the room, Chan is lying on the bed. He groans in pain. Daeru appears, smiling at him, and asks how the boy is doing. Then says Chan got a few stitches because of a nasty knife cut. Chan asks what he's talking about and where they are. Daeru says the boy passed out as soon as they got into Wangtaek's car. The boy remembers the fight like a huge flashback and says it was embarrassing. Chan asks how long he was out, and Daeru says it's already 1 in the morning. He told the boy's parents that he'd be staying at his place, but they asked Chan to call them. Daeru asks if he wants something to eat, but Chan says he just wants a smoke. But Wangtaek walks into the room asking if Chan is awake. Chan asks if the man has cigarettes, and he grumbles. Then asks if Daeru is really his teacher at school. Chan confirms. The man stares at Daeru. Chan says he trusts his teacher and that he can listen to the conversation. Wangtaek sighs and agrees, then says that thanks to Chan, he profited this time without doing anything. There won't be anyone in Gangnam who stands against him for a while. Smiling, he asks if there's anything he can do for Chan. Serious, the boy tells him not to involve the school. Just that. The man says he likes the kid, so he'll give him a warning to lay low for a while. Rumors about him have spread, and many will try to find him. Stressed, Chan says he'll handle it on his own. Wangtaek gets annoyed and says he recognizes that Kang Chan is a special guy, and it's true that he profited from that incident. Chan asks what that has to do with anything. The man says that just as he recognized the boy's talent, Chan should respect his status and opinion. Outraged, Chan asks what he's going to do if the boy doesn't want to do that. They stare at each other with deadly intent. Wangtaek gives a little smirk and says that Chan won and they should forget everything and be friends. Daeru tells him to get rid of his people outside first. They don't need protection. The gang leader asks what subject Daeru teaches, and he replies, physical education. Smiling, Wangtaek says he figured as much, but he won't send anyone away. Those men from Ulsan are special. Then he says he'll leave for now, but Chan can ask anything he wants from the men outside. He says goodbye. Chan tells Daeru he should go, but he says he can stay and work from there. The man takes the chance to ask if there's anything going on between Chan and Kim Myeon, as she sent him messages all day. The boy says she's just a kid. Tired, Chan asks when he'll be discharged, and Daeru replies that the doctor said he has to stay at least a month. The boy thinks to himself that he'll need to stay in bed for at least a week, but he can't tell his parents he'll be sleeping at his teacher's house for a whole week. Chan says they should tell them he had a car accident. They went out for dinner to talk about his future, and on the way back, it happened. He needs to say that one of the guys outside caused the accident. Daeru leaves, saying he'll tell them that. Chan's mother calls out for him. The teacher tells her not to worry, that he'll recover soon, but the woman is in despair. Chan moves his arm to show that it's not as bad as it looks. His mother says they'll transfer him to a bigger hospital. Car accidents can have lasting effects on the body, but Chan says there's no need. He thinks he can't tell her he was stabbed. Then a doctor enters the room. The man asks how Chan is feeling. The boy says he's fine. His mother introduces herself, and the doctor says the boy's wounds aren't as serious as they look. His treatment is progressing well, so he just needs to eat and stay hydrated. The woman says she's thinking about transferring her son to another hospital. The doctor agrees, and Chan panics, wondering if the doctor shouldn't be aware of his situation. He says the director of the other hospital is a friend of his. He can call there, but he thinks it's better for Kang Chan to stay here. In big hospitals, the patient-to-doctor ratio is overwhelming, and in a life-threatening emergency, a large hospital would be better. But in Kang Chan's case, he doesn't need complicated surgery, just observation. He concludes by saying that's his personal opinion and the final decision belongs to the patient's legal guardian. Although the director of the other hospital is a busy man, he answers all his calls. The doctor asks if she wants him to call, but Chan's mother says there's no need. She'll wait for her husband to arrive so they can talk. Chan notes that the man is clever. Then the doctor asks if Chan's mother can step out for a moment so he can talk with the boy. Since he wants to change the dressings, he thinks it's better if she stays outside, and the woman agrees. She leaves, saying she'll be waiting outside. The doctor starts removing the dressings and says the stitches are beginning to come out normally. It usually takes 2 weeks, and Chan asks if he'll need them redone. But the doctor says he actually heals very quickly, and he's never seen anything like it before. Chan thanks him for convincing his mother. The doctor asks if the boy knows why he's doing this. While he was studying abroad, his brother became a gangster and started using knives for violence. But once he was taken to the ER after being stabbed, he lost a lot of blood, and when he found out his own brother worked there, he refused to be treated. In the end, he was the one who had to announce the death of his own brother. Chan is left speechless. After finishing the dressing change, he says he heard Chan is good with his fists, but he has a request for him. The doctor says he can go there or send people whenever he wants, but he must not kill or be killed. The doctor says it's hard to keep doing his job when people die. Chan asks why the man doesn't just stop doing it. Smiling, the doctor asks what would be the point that wouldn't reduce the number of deaths from beatings. The boy asks what if things go wrong in his job, and the doctor replies that money isn't a problem for him, and if everything fails, he'll move to another country. Chan says he understands and thanks the man. The doctor laughs and says it should be him saying that since he barely treated the others and still saved a good amount of money that time. The boy laughs along and says he made a good deal. Then the doctor tells Chan to keep in mind that if he shows up dead, he'll sell his organs for money without telling his parents. Smiling, he leaves and tells the boy to get some good rest. Chan is tense. 1 week later, Chan is already home. He puts on his school uniform and leaves his room. The boy's mother asks if he's awake and says they need to talk. She asks why he's in uniform, and the boy says it's to go to school. His mother says the doctor told him to rest for a few more days. Chan says he's fine and can go to school, then asks what the paper in her hand is. The woman shows him a check for 50 million won. Chan thinks a wine take went overboard this time. Nervously, Chan says they can return it later. His mother agrees, saying that kind of money is suspicious. Putting on his sneakers, Chan says he's heading out. His father comes out of the room and asks if the boy wants a ride to school. Chan agrees. They leave the apartment together. The boy wonders why his father is being so energetic. In the car, the atmosphere is tense. His father is serious. Then he calls him and asks if there's anything he wants to tell him. The man says that if his answer is no, he won't ask again. Chan gets tense, then says yes. There's something he hasn't told him. The boy confesses that he got into a fight. He explains that the guys at school were being backed by some gangsters. His father becomes thoughtful. Chan continues, saying there were complicated matters, but they're settled now. Some people were injured, but no one died. Seriously, his father asks why he said it was a car accident. Looking down, Chan explains that his mother would worry too much. They both sit silently in the car. Chan apologizes. The man asks if Chan knows his mother sacrificed a lot for him. Chan looks confused. He sees a photo of himself as a baby in his mother's arms while she was hospitalized, then confirms he doesn't know the details, but something must have happened during her labor. She had to be rushed into surgery. She was in very bad shape and had to rely on machines to breathe. Chan's father says the boy doesn't need to worry about him, but he must never make his mother cry. Chan agrees, and his father thanks him for being honest. They both stay silent. At school, Chan walks through the hallways and greets Daeru, who asks, startled, what he's doing there. Chan tells him not to worry because he got permission to come back since he recovered very quickly. The boy comments that's good, but strange. Daeru says he's always been a strange guy, and the boy asks if anything has happened lately. The man says some rumors have been spreading through the school. Some say he's on the verge of death, others that he's already dead, and one lunatic said he saw him arrested by the police. Smiling, Chan says there must be a lot of happy people right now and wonders if he should go take a look. Daeru looks confused, and Chan brings up his request. The man gets excited. Chan tells him to give him the names. In the first-year classroom, a boy with glasses is eating. There are several insults written on his desk. Someone appears behind him and slaps him on the head. The boy looks confused. It's another student who asks if there's a problem with him. Frightened, the boy with glasses says no, and the other mocks him while stealing his food, saying his blood will clot if he eats too much meat and then he should eat more grass. The boy with glasses thanks him nervously, afraid of getting hit. Then the other asks why he's not eating. Next, he shoves a bunch of food into his mouth violently. Everyone in the room laughs and mocks the boy. The bully keeps stuffing food down the boy with glasses' throat. He looks like a monster while forcing him to eat quickly. Chan knocks on the door. The boy who's bullying the kid with glasses asks who's barging into the room, but he panics when he sees it's Chan, then bows and welcomes him. Chan asks who he is. The person starts introducing himself, but the MC says he doesn't want to hear it and asks if there's a Gijin there. The boy looks confused, and Chan asks if Gijin isn't there, saying he heard he was supposed to be in that room. Then they point at the boy with glasses, saying he's right there. Gijin trembles in his chair. Chan approaches and asks if he's Gijin. The boy is speechless with fear. Then Chan tells Gijin to come with him, and the boy asks why. Everyone is shocked that the boy with glasses spoke to Kang Chan like that. Chan stays silent, and the guy who bullies Gijin yells at him, asking if he's lost his mind. He gets close to the boy and demands to know how he dares speak to Kang Chan like that. Sternly, Chan tells him not to interfere. The guy backs off. Chan leans on Gijin's desk and says they need to talk. Gijin gets nervous. Chan smiles at him, then grabs the boy by the arm and pulls him outside, telling the boy to stop making excuses and follow him. Gijin is terrified. Then Chan stops because he notices everyone is watching. Smiling, he tells them not to worry. Everyone shrinks back in fear of Chan. In another classroom, the girl is sitting with her head down, quiet. Chan stops in front of her and asks if she's Che Soyan. He's with Gijin by his side. The girl says yes. The boy introduces himself as Kang Chan from the 3rd year and says they need to talk for a bit. She panics when she realizes who he is. Confused, he asks if she's busy. The girl quickly stands and says no. He leaves the room with Cha Soyan and Gaijin, wondering who's next. A group stops him in the hallway. The girl hides behind Chan, terrified. He notices her panic. Chan asks what's going on, and one of the guys in the group introduces himself. After hearing him out, the MC tells him to get lost. But the boy wants to say something. Chan complains that he's blocking the way, so the boy steps aside, apologizing. The group wishes Chan a good day and lets him pass. In the gym, Chan has gathered a group of students and is with Daeru, starting to explain why he brought everyone there. Then he says he wants to create a sports club and the teacher will be the supervisor. Everyone looks confused. Chan asks if they have any questions. Hyujin asks what kind of sports they'll be doing. Then Chan says physical training and self-defense. Maybe some field hockey. Cha Soyan asks why he's inviting them. Chan thinks for a moment. The students get curious. Then the MC replies that he wants to be friends with them and spend time together. They are speechless. Daeru clears his throat and says they're not being forced to join the club. They should only stay if they want to. But it'll be good for them if they join. Whoever wants in should sign the document already there, and lunch is arriving for them. Threateningly, Chan says this is going to be fun. The mood grows tense. Daeru tells Chan not to look at them like that. This isn't Africa. Chan says he's trying his best. Then the man asks why a girl is there. The girl greets everyone and introduces herself as Kim Mayong from the 3rd year. She'll be the club manager. Cheerfully, she asks who wants the application form. Daeru asks if Chan is crazy and why he brought a girl who's going to a prestigious university there. Chan questions if his friend really thinks he brought her there. Turns out they met in the hallway and she started crying non-stop and didn't want to leave him alone. Daeru complains and tells the captain to deal with her, but Chan asks to let her stay. She's being nice to everyone anyway. Someone knocks on the door and asks if he ordered tonkatsu. The teacher confirms and asks the guy to put it on the makeshift table. Someone is peeking through the door crack. Chan notices, but the girl runs off. Then he calls her. She looks back and Chan asks why she's wandering around. Angrily, she says she's not. Chan mocks her and says that if she's not, then she should leave. The girl looks at him nervously as he walks away. Then she calls Kang Chan and asks if she really can go. He replies yes. Blushing, she asks if she doesn't look suspicious. Chan says that if she wants to do suspicious things, she's free to do so. Then he closes the door and goes back inside. The girl stays outside looking in. Then she lowers her head and swears. On the school field, the teenagers are running and sweating. Chan is leading them with excitement and tells them to keep going. But the group is already exhausted. From a distance, someone is watching. The girl stares seriously at those people. After running a lot, everyone sits on the ground trying to rest. Excited, Kim arrives with soda for everyone. Yejun thanks her for the drink. He downs a can and comments that he survived the day's training. Stretching, Chan asks if they can now begin the official training. The group is shocked and Chan doesn't understand, so he asks if they have any questions, and Jijun wants to know what they just did. Calmly, Chan says that was just the warm-up. It's not good to start training without warming up first. Everyone panics. They're exhausted. A boy takes a ball to the face. He falls to the ground. Chan comments that he shouldn't have taken the ball with his face, then asks if he's okay. They're just playing. Daeru says Chan didn't aim at the boy's face on purpose. The MC prepares to say something but remembers he has to pretend to be just a student and apologizes to the boy. Mysteriously, Daeru says they're at school. Chan says he knows and asks if they can continue the game. The teacher throws the ball to the boy. With a dark look, Chan says he'll show what happens when he actually aims for someone's face. Smiling, Daeru signals for him to go ahead. With all of his strength, Chan throws the ball at his friend. Daeru is ready to receive it, then kicks it back with a powerful shot. Chan runs toward the ball and kicks it back to the other side. Quickly, Daeru sends the ball back again, and Chan keeps returning it. They keep this going for a while, with the ball flying back and forth. The boys in the group reflect that this is an extremely terrifying club. After training, they go wash their faces to cool off. Chan is happy and says he thought his body was weak, but he was wrong. Compared to those boys, he's in great shape. The teenagers gossip among themselves. Daeru comments that they're going to break those kids if they train like that every day, so they should limit it to twice a week. Unsel, who had been watching from a distance, approaches. Her heart is pounding. Then she calls out to Kang Chan. The girl comes closer and Chan asks what she's doing there again. And she says she wants to join the club too. Everyone is left speechless. Chan replies no. Unsel starts asking why she can't join. Then Chan asks why a 3rd-year student would want to join a club when there are exams to study for. The girl yells that it doesn't matter since she's not going to university anyway. Besides, Kim Mayon is also in the club. With arms crossed, Chan says she has good grades, unlike the girl. Unsel lowers her head, then looks at Kim with hatred. Kim feels bad. Unsel leaves. Chan stays silent. At the end of the day, he's walking home with Kim. She asks why he won't let Unsel join the club too. She seems sincere and determined. Chan replies that she doesn't fit in and will scare the others. The light turns green. Kim tries to say that might change if they spend some time together, but Chan walks off. The girl is left standing there with a sad look. Chan is walking down the street when he receives a call from an unknown number. He answers. Someone asks if it's Kang Chan and introduces herself as Michelle, speaking in French. The boy is confused. Then he remembers the number he gave when he was at the French restaurant. Chan asks why she's calling, and the girl questions why he's asking that. Then she asks if he's really going to play dumb after attracting the attention of 3 beautiful ladies. Chan asks if she knows he's still in high school. Smiling, Michelle asks if he knows she's French. Chan says he's not in the mood for jokes, and the girl replies that she's not joking and he has to keep his promise. Then she asks if it can be that day. The boy says he can't because he's recovering from some injuries. Michelle responds that that's sexy. Confused, Chan wonders if the girl is crazy. Then he says he can't today but can on Saturday. Michelle agrees and says, "I love you" in French before hanging up. Frustrated, Chan hangs up the phone. The boy heads home angry. He gets home and enters the apartment, then announces that he's home, startling his father, who says on the phone to continue the conversation later and that he'll arrive as soon as possible. The father asks if Chan got out early that day. The boy confirms. He asks who his father was on the phone with. The man says it was just a client from the company, then tells Chan to take a shower and get some rest. Chan walks off but thinks to himself that he's sure his father is hiding something. Chan's father is standing in front of the coffee table. He looks deep in thought. The boy approaches, startling him, then asks if his father wants to go out for a bit and says he's going for a walk. His father says he's fine and tells his son to be careful. But then he changes his mind and says he'll go out for a bit too. They can enjoy a good walk together. Chan smiles. It's already nighttime, they're walking peacefully. Then Chan asks if something's wrong. The man asks what he's talking about. Chan stops and says that if his father says nothing's wrong, then he won't ask again. That's exactly what his father told him in the car earlier. The man gets nervous and puts his arm around Chan, saying his son caught him. Something did happen. He was planning to import French cars and sell them here. At first, they would buy 50 cars, and if it worked out, they'd request more from the French company. This way, the risk would be low. But an outside factor interfered. The man asks if he knows the Xiujiang group. They set up a motors branch and offered to parallel import the same cars. Chan thinks they probably got jealous of his father's potential strategy. Then he realizes he thought of that man as his father without hesitation. Chan's father continues, saying he was contacted from France earlier. They secured the monopoly, but only if they buy 500 cars with each order. At first glance, it seems like they're being considerate, but they made that offer knowing they wouldn't be able to meet that demand. If they back out, the company might close a deal with a bigger corporation. Chan asks which model he wanted to export, and his father replies, Schiff. The boy wonders if those aren't the extremely luxurious sit-ins. 500 of them is a lot. Then his father concludes, saying they can either give up the money spent on the 50-car contract or pay for 500 and try to sell them. The loss is nearly the same. Tense, the man says he's sorry. The money he borrowed using their house as collateral was spent on those contracts. If they don't deal with this, things could get difficult for them. The man apologizes for showing Chan his pathetic side. Chan looks at him and says it's okay. He's fine with all of it and asks his father to take good care of his mom. The man says that's what worries him the most. He tries his best not to make it obvious. Chan says it was pretty obvious. Lowering his head, the father says that honestly he couldn't hide his expressions after hearing some new information earlier. The French executives who were supposedly coming next week are now arriving this week. Chan reflects that they want to get rid of them quickly. Chan asks if they're arriving tomorrow or the day after. His father says they're coming tomorrow, will rest for a day, and then meet. The boy starts to speak and asks if he could go with him, but the man says he'll try to handle it alone. Chan says he knows his father is aware of how good his French is. He could translate. The boy quickly stands up and tells his father to try everything he can. If things still don't work out, even with them working together, then there's nothing more they could have done. He stares at the man, who looks back at him surprised. Then the father says, all right, even if the results aren't good, he wants help until the end. But for the sake of Chan's mother, they should act normal and keep this between them. The boy goes home. His mother asks where his father is. Chan says he told him he'd stay outside a bit longer. The woman gets worried and says that's strange. The boy enters his room and reflects that there are moments when people need time for themselves. His phone vibrates. He answers. On the other end, Michelle calls the boy Cheney and starts complaining, but then says she called at a good time. Michelle asks if it's because he missed her. Chan replies that they'll have to postpone the plan for a week. Frustrated, the woman says he's asking for too much. He says it's because of some problems at home. The woman says then they'll meet on Monday and she won't compromise any further. Chan sighs and says okay, Monday it is. Hanging up, the girl says that's a promise. She's happy to talk with Chan. The boy reflects on Michelle. He turns on his computer and starts searching, thinking that there must still be some money in his old French account. There should be more than 150 million won. Chan says his account hasn't been updated for online banking. He barely remembers the number, and no one's going to believe he's the legendary Kang Chan. Daeru asks if that's not wrong. The boy agrees and says even so, the nearest branch is in Hong Kong. He'll try calling on Monday. Daeru says he's worried about the boy's mother. Seriously, he says they need to do everything they can to handle this. Sunday, at the Namsam Hotel, Chan and his father arrive by car. The man says there will be 2 executives and 1 translator from his company. He's going to honestly say Chan is his son, but that he's there as the translator's assistant. Then the father calls Chan and thanks the boy. He's left speechless. As planned, he'll help him with the negotiations. It'll be an interesting experience. They both enter the hotel. The father points and says they're already there. Chan is shocked. Someone approaches. The boy starts sweating. A man stops right in front of him. Chan remembers the military officer who commanded them in Africa and ordered them to kill Masalan. That man is him, Charlin. The boy wonders how this can be real and how the man is still alive. Charlin extends his hand to Chan and greets him in French. The boy is tense. His father greets the man back. Charlin looks behind him where a man is greeting a girl. He calls the blonde man Smithen and tells him to behave since they're in Korea. Smiling, Smithen turns to Charlin. Chan is even more surprised by his presence and wonders what's going on. His father asks if something's wrong, but he says no. Then his father says Chan should greet them. The boy says in French that his father is the CEO of Kangyu Motors, Kang Da Gayong, and that he is Kang Chan, an assistant to the translator. Charlin introduces himself and says Chan's pronunciation is very good, and that the way he speaks sounds familiar. Charlin introduces Smithen, the sales manager of their Asian branch. Chan grows more and more confused by the whole situation but asks in French if they should head to the table. They gather around. A staff member asks Charlin if he would like to place an order. Smithen keeps staring at the girl, but Charlin snaps him out of it, and the man regains his composure. Then Charlin asks if Kang Chan's a common name in Korea. Chan stays silent, serious. The man asks if he spoke too fast, and his father looks at him. Seriously, Chan answers that it's a common name and asks if he knows someone with the same name. Charlin says he only asks because it's a cool name. Then Chan says he's also familiar with both of their names. But Charlin doesn't understand what the boy means. The staff member brings drinks to the table. While drinking, Charlin says they'll now start the real conversation. The translator tells Da Gayong, Chan's father, that he wants to talk business. So Da Gayong begins to speak. He says it would be difficult for them to accept the sudden proposal, and he was hoping Charlin would modify the contract terms for the 500 cars. The translator relays to Charlin what Da Gayong said. The man sighs, and calmly says they won't modify the terms, but if he wants, he can sign the original contract for 50 cars, but the competitors will be able to import them too. Then he comments that healthy competition benefits everyone. Chan reflects that this is something Charlin would say. Da Gayong says they already paid half of the contract value. According to him, if they pay the rest, his company will gain half the rights for the ships. Charlin says that indeed, he'll have a monopoly on rights, but only if he prepares the facilities to meet headquarters demands, fully expanding the workforce. Excited, Da Gayong says they already have contracts signed with workshops across the country he uses facilities. They can prepare the other requirements immediately. Charlin comments that the monopoly on rights will only apply to vehicles purchased by Da Gayong's company, and they made the same proposal to the competition. Da Gayong is speechless. Meanwhile, Charlin sips his drink calmly. One of Da Gayong's team members shouts that this is outrageous, and if they keep this up, they'll take legal action. Chan reflects that it's pointless to face Charlin with that kind of attitude. The man places his glass on the table and asks about the legal action, and if he should take that as the true intention of Kangyo Motors. With his hand on his head, Charlin says this is shameful, and to make one thing clear, he stands up and says that they were the ones who declared war first. Charlin stands and leaves. Someone asks him to wait a moment. The man turns around. It's Chan, who asks for a little more time. Charlin replies that nothing is more worthless than a waste of time. Shannon says he's not asking for much, he needs 1 week and 1 night. Mocking him, Charlin says Chan has no authority to make any decisions. The boy looks at his father. Da Gayong asks if he has a plan. Chan says no, but it's better than giving up everything. A man tells Da Gayong that if they don't find a solution in a week, there will be nothing more they can do. Maybe they should apologize and try to renegotiate. Chan says those people will only intensify their attacks if they retreat. Da Gayong puts his hands on his head. Charlin silently watches everything. Da Gayong says nothing for a few moments. Then he lifts his head and asks for translation. He says that here and now, Chan's words are his words and his decisions will be his decisions. Chan smiles. The man behind him complains. But Da Gayong is firm and repeats that they should translate. Chan thanks his father. Charlin smiles and asks if 1 week will really be enough. And if Chan can't pay for the 500 cars in a week, will he also give up the rights? Chan smiles and says he doesn't need to worry about that. Charlin asks what the boy meant by 1 night, and Chan replies that he'll see. Smiling wickedly, Chan says he's looking forward to it. Smithen and Charlin glance at each other confused. Da Gayong's team is visibly uncomfortable. Charlin comments that Korea is quite a strange country, and Kang is very similar to someone he knows. Chan asks him for an answer. Does he accept or not? Smiling, the man accepts and asks when the night will be. The boy says they'll contact him soon about that. Charlin shakes his hand and says they should contact him at least 1 day in advance. Chan and Charlin stare at each other. If those guys are really who he remembers, they'll be easy to face. Charlin says they're leaving and says goodbye. The men with Da Gayong desperately ask what they're going to do now that Charlin has justification to attack them. But Da Gayong disagrees. They created a situation that wasn't expected. This is a significant development. Everyone is in shock. Da Gayong leaves and calls out to Chan, leaving everyone behind. In the car, the man calls his son's name and asks if Chan is really his son. Chan is confused. Then he asks what his father means. Da Gayong asks if he's still going to say he learned French on the internet. Lowering his head, Chan says that even if he told the truth, his father wouldn't believe him or trust him. Smiling, Da Gayong says he understands and changes the subject, asking Chan not to ask the gangsters for help under any circumstances. The boy agrees. Da Gayong says it's still a secret from his mother. Chan agrees. His father leans his head against the window, lost in thought. He's deep in thought, and Chan notices. The boy sends a message asking someone to meet him later. When they arrive home, Chan tells his father he has something to do and will return later. He says he knows someone who might be able to help them. Serious, the father repeats not to involve any gangsters. Chan agrees and tells him not to worry. Da Gayong enters the building and leaves Chan outside. The boy walks away serious. He remembers the battlefield. When he was shooting at enemies, it was all very intense. Daeru called out to Chan, and the captain told him to hang in there a bit longer. Then he started climbing a wall. He ran across the rooftops of nearby houses, leaping from one to the next. The enemies grabbed a bazooka and tried to hit Chan as he advanced. But the boy thought it won't be this time. He jumped down to the ground, catching his enemies off guard. Quickly, Chan started taking them out at close range. He set a car on fire, burning some of them alive. There were countless shots, everything very intense. Amidst all the groans, fire, and smoke, Chan reports over the radio that the zone is secure. His team approaches. Daeru smiles and asks why Chan always has to show off. The captain tells him to do a better job next time, but Daeru mocks him. Chan asks if there were any casualties. His friend says 4 were lightly injured, no deaths or serious injuries. Chan says that's good but asks where Smithen is. Daeru looks around. Only now does he think of it. He was somewhere else, with a civilian who was trembling in fear. Smithen tells her to stay calm. He's not going to kill her. Even so, the girl tries to back away, but the man insists. Chan is looking for the man and finds him in that situation. Smithen looks at the captain, frightened. Chan becomes furious at the scene and curses Smithen. Trying to cover himself, Smithen says Chan arrived just in time because he found the survivor. Furious, Chan yells at him to shut up and punches him. He screams, asking who Smithen thinks he's fooling. Every time he tries to pull some crap, it shows all over his face. Then he punches Smithen again, shouting that he's worse than an animal and asking how he's any different from those kidnappers. Getting beaten, Smithen screams for Chan to forgive him just one more time. The boy is sitting on a bench, serious. He reflects that Smithen, as a businessman, had the same expression he used to have on the battlefield. Someone asks if Chan has been waiting long. It's Daeru in a car. The boy says he just got there and suggests they go talk somewhere. His friend tells him to get in the vehicle. They drive off. Daeru asks what happened. Chan says it was Smithen. The man doesn't understand. The boy says he saw him with Charlene. Daeru asks if those guys are still alive, and Chan replies that if he met them, it means they are. The man asks where the two are now. Chan says at the Namsan Hotel. Angry, Daeru says they should go there right now. Chan tells him not to go yet and asks his friend to listen to what he has to say. Those two got successful careers at going cars. Daeru bursts out laughing, then realizes Chan isn't joking and says they should go. Chan asks why Daeru keeps insisting they go. Then the man says to suppose Smithen survived after they died, but he's way too dumb to be a manager at a big corporation. Chan comments that he thinks Daeru is dumb too. The man keeps yelling that those two probably stabbed them in the back. Daeru says even a blockhead like him can see that, and he doesn't get how Chan hasn't realized it. The boy says there may be circumstances they don't know about, they need more information. Daeru says Chan can ask whatever he wants asterisk after asterisk, he smashes their faces in. Chan tries to explain that they've already arranged a meeting for the evening. Daeru gets pissed and tells the captain to do it his way. He hits the gas and says he'll do it asterisk his asterisk way. The boy yells at Daeru. The man looks at Chan, startled. Chan tells him not to do anything until the proper plan is made, then says that's an order. Daeru falls silent and apologizes for overreacting after hearing those bastards' names. Chan says it's okay. It's not the first time he's seen him like that. Daeru asks why they don't ask Oh Guangtake for help. The boy reflects that it's a good idea. They could help a lot both with information gathering and in a fight, but he made a promise. So he tells Daeru it's not a good idea and asks if they've gotten so weak that they need the help of gangsters. Daeru smiles and says he understands. Chan reflects that there isn't a concrete plan at the moment. If they could isolate one of them, something might be possible. Chan's phone rings. It's Michelle calling him. So he starts to think and gets an idea. Chan answers the call with a smile. The girl asks if he managed to take care of that problem he had. Chan says not yet, that it got a bit complicated. She says he sounds cheerful, so she thought he had solved it. Chan says it's all good and asks where they should meet. Michelle replies that she's not sure and doesn't mind the place as long as she's with him. Smiling, Chan suggests a hotel. Michelle loves the idea. She comments that he was so direct it surprised her. Chan says he'll pay for dinner and asks the girl to bring her friends too. Excited, Michelle asks which hotel and what time. The boy says the name, Namsan Hotel, and sets it for 7 p.m. Michelle starts picking out her outfit excitedly. Daeru asks what that was all about. Chan replies that it's a French woman. His friend mocks him, saying Chan is very confident and calm. Then Chan tells Daeru to use his brain. Their opponent is Smithen. Daeru gets the idea. Chan comments that now it's time to throw the bait. He calls the hotel and asks to speak with the guests in room 1901 and to say it's Kang Chan. Smithen answers in French and Chan says he wanted to talk about their meeting, then asks what he thinks about Tuesday night. Smithen asks him to wait a moment. Chan reflects that he probably doesn't have the authority to make decisions, then gets confirmation from Charlene. Smithen returns and says Tuesday at 7 p.m. is fine, then asks if they'll meet at the lounge. Chan confirms and says he has an evening appointment the next day with some ladies at the hotel, so if Smithen sees him, he shouldn't take it the wrong way or mind it. Smithen says he understands and that he's jealous, then says goodbye. Daeru comments that wasn't the reaction he expected and asks if his personality has changed. Chan says he was probably with Charlene, so he had to fake it, but his mind is likely full of tomorrow night and beautiful women. Daeru agrees and says he wouldn't change. The boy asks Daeru to go to the hotel the next day with the car. Michelle and the others are so attractive that once Smithen sees them, he'll go after them. After all, he's not the type to stay alone in his room. He'll definitely be wandering around the club. As soon as the opportunity arises, they should bring him to the car. Daeru agrees and says he'll find a safe place to take him and that he'll personally have a little chat with Smithen. Chan asks if he'll be okay. Angrily, Daeru asks if he really thinks someone like Smithen could beat him. The boy says he's not in his old body and that Smithen can't be underestimated. He even beat Daeru once in arm wrestling. everyone was cheering for them. They bet on who they thought would win. The two glared at each other with hatred as they struggled to win. Daeru says that was with his right arm, and with his left he always wins. Chan says his body's not the same, but Smithin's is. The man tells Chan to relax, that he hasn't been slacking off all this time. Chan asks why they're worrying about all this now. They'll deal with Smithin the next day when he takes the bait. If things don't work out, they'll have no choice but to kill him on Tuesday. Daeru comments that if they're lucky, they could take care of the squad and Chan's father at the same time. Chan says that would be nice, but they don't need to try to forcefully resolve both at once. He starts a sentence about rushing, and Daeru finishes it. They both laugh together in the car. Daeru confesses he's nervous. Chan says he is too. The boy is deep in thought. If Smithin has preserved his old skills, there'll be a much harder fight than with those gangsters. At night, Daeru drops Chan off at home. He says he knows a few places where they could take care of Smithin, and Chan should choose one. The boy says it's fine for Daeru to choose. His friend agrees and says goodbye. The car drives off. Chan enters the house and asks his father what he's doing. The man replies he's making chicken soup. Chan is confused, and his father says his mother isn't feeling well. After he spoke with her about the situation, she's been lying in bed and hasn't gotten up. The next day, Chan and Dad Gyeong are in the car. The boy says he contacted some people who know executives at Goingt, and they'll look for a solution. Dad Gyeong thanks his son for the help and says he's been working hard, but gives him a warning to not get involved in illegal activities. Chan agrees. His father drops him off at school. At the entrance, he runs into Daeru. They smile at each other. In class, Chan is dying of boredom. He almost falls asleep several times. Later, he trains with the club members on the court. They run exhausted, and Chan stays super motivated. Kim yells to encourage them. Unseo watches from afar. The school day ends. Chan walks down the hallway serious. Someone calls out to him. When he looks, it's Kim, who says they should go home together. But he says he's not going home yet because he has some plans. The girl asks with who, and if it's with a girl. Chan says it's with Professor Seok Kangho. The girl says then she'll go with him. The boy replies that she can't. Kim tries to say she's the club manager, but he's already gone. Kim watches him tense. Chan goes down the stairs, and someone calls him again. It's Unseo, who says they need to talk. The girl tries to say she wants to join the club, but Chan cuts her off and says they'll talk later because he's busy today. Unseo gets mad and curses at him. Chan goes to the PE equipment room. He enters and Daeru is already there getting ready. The boy asks how he even has a tie, and Daeru replies that it's best to go all in when you're starting something. Chan says he shouldn't dress like that, and Daeru looks confused. Then Chan tells him to do as he wants and asks if he brought his clothes, telling him to hand them over. Daeru replies that he can change in the car, but Chan says it's way too cramped. Crossing his arms, Daeru comments that his reputation could take a hit if someone sees him taking a student in a suit to his car. Mocking him, Chan asks if he's scared. Daeru says it's terrifying. Then he pauses and adds, saying it's not Smithin who scares him. Chan says he knows. At the Namsan Hotel, they park the car at the entrance. Daeru says he'll be waiting for Chan in the underground parking lot, but the boy says Smithin won't recognize him, so he can stay in the lobby cafe instead. The man complains, saying the coffee there probably costs between 20 and 30,000 won. Chan tells him to pay anyway. Putting a hand on his head, Daeru says his wife is even more terrifying. Seriously, he says that Smithin isn't. Chan sighs. Daeru says he'll stay inside with Chan, then tells the boy to get out so he can park the car. Chan gets out of the vehicle and walks into the hotel. Inside, everything is fancy and spacious. He wonders if Michelle isn't there yet, since it's almost the scheduled time. Someone greets Chan very formally. It's a man who's staring at him. Chan asks who he is. He replies that he's Seo Do-seok and that they met the other day. Seo Do-seok is the gangster who was with Oh. The man says he works full-time at the hotel, so if Chan needs anything, he can ask him. But the MC tells him to get lost. The man agrees and tells Chan to take care, then walks away. Chan wonders if that place is also a gangster den. He sits on the couch and reflects that this is troublesome. Someone greets him, calling him Chaney. It's Michelle with her two friends. Everyone around is stunned by how beautiful the three of them are. Chan becomes serious. It's time to start the evening and catch Smithin. Chan lifts his head. Michelle says in French that he looks hot. One of her friends says it's because the clothes are luxurious, and the other replies that the colors match and that Chan has great taste. Daeru sees the boy from afar. He stops and looks for a moment. Chan signals for him to stay in that area. Daeru nods back. Michelle asks who he's looking at, and if he's going to keep disappointing them like that. Chan apologizes, then asks them to speak one at a time. His brain can't keep up with all of them. Michelle agrees and says her first question is what the plans are for today. Chan says they should head to another place first. Daeru is seated, looking at his phone, and watches Chan heading off somewhere. Chan looks at him. At a table, a waiter serves a few dishes. Chan says they haven't ordered anything yet, and the waiter replies that they were instructed to serve the full-course meal for free. Chan looks confused. The waiter says they'll be serving the house's exclusive dinner, and if they want anything else, they can just ask. The boy agrees and tells the waiter to go. Michelle asks for the wine menu, and the waiter says he'll bring it. Looking at Chan, Michelle comments that he must be pretty important. The boy denies it and says he just knows someone from there. Michelle is looking at him sweetly. Chan reflects that the gangsters probably arranged all that, and it was a bit unnecessary. The girls toast. Michelle asks if Chan doesn't like drinking. The boy says he's still a student and reflects that even so, mentally, he's almost 30. Mocking, Michelle asks if he's the type to follow the law and says that's unexpected. One of Michelle's friends comments that the wine is delicious and it'd be hard to find something that good even in France. Michelle takes a sip to confirm. The girls laugh and chat while drinking. All three are 26 years old, they live in the same area and quickly became friends. Michelle is a magazine editor. Cecile works for a security company, and Cindy is a freelancer. Chan reflects that he feels comfortable talking with them even in his current situation. His phone rings. Chan apologizes and says he has to take the call. Michelle smiles. The boy wonders if it's Daeru, but if it were, he would have sent a message. When he checks his Okwantek, Chan answers. The man says he heard the boy is at the hotel all dressed up in a suit, and Chan replies that it's none of his business. He'll ask the boy not to be so rough and says he just wants a friendly relationship with him, and if Chan needs anything, he can talk to Siu Doziak. Chan hangs up. Michelle comments that Chan is acting a little strange and he looks confused. She crosses her arms and says it seems like he has other business to deal with and tells him not to underestimate a woman's intuition. Chan reflects that it wouldn't be bad to reveal some things to her, as long as it's not everything. He says she's right, and explains that there's an American named Smithen at that hotel, and if he comes by, he might join their table. Michelle asks if Chan brought them there because of that. He says she's not entirely wrong. The woman asks if it's because of the recent problem he had. Chan says it's not just that, there's something he needs to confirm personally, and he apologizes for it. Michelle gets thoughtful. Her friends glance at each other. Chan is serious, waiting for her to say something. She raises her finger and says that since he was honest and even apologized, she'll let him off without punishment. Her friends look at each other and smile, and one of them says it would be fun if another person joined the table. Chan thanks them. The girl starts to say that with more people, they could form pairs. Chan receives a message. Daeru says that Smithen is there. Chan feels relieved and sends a message saying they'll go to the club, but Daeru asks Chan to wait. Daeru sends a message that says Serpent Venomux. Chan reflects that it means poisonous snake. It's the French gang. Smithen is talking to members of the French gang. Chan asks if Daeru is sure, and the man says he checked the tattoo and confirmed the presence of 3 people. Members of Serpent Venomux have a red snake tattooed above the left thumb. Daeru fought some of them in Paris. Chan wonders why they're there and whether they're acting as bodyguards for Charlene and Smithen. Daeru suggests abandoning the plan. Gang members weren't part of it. The boy reflects that Daeru isn't wrong, but there's no chance those members will be gone by the next day. Besides, they may have to face Charlene tomorrow. Chan clenches his teeth and wonders if there's ever been a time when a battle went calmly according to the original plan. He sends a message to Daeru saying they'll go ahead with the plan. The man gets tense and confirms, saying the guys are moving and heading to the club. Chan gets stressed. He doesn't even have time to think. Smithen and the gang members enter the club, all with serious, menacing faces. Michelle looks at Chan, worried. Her friends are tense too. Chan is trying to stay calm and think of something. He reflects on what his advantages are and what the problems are. The boy becomes serious while thinking. Siu Doziak enters the place they're in and asks if Chan called him. Then the boy says there are 4 Westerners in the club and asks if Siu Doziak can evacuate the others and close the door after he enters. Seriously, he says Siu Doziak might not be able to control the situation that night. Siu Doziak says that's not a decision he can make on his own. He needs to contact Chief O Guangtek first. Chan agrees. O answers quickly. Chan says they don't have time, so gets straight to the point. The club needs to be shut down that night. Ho Guangtek is confused, but the boy says again they don't have time and asks if it's possible or not. That O Guangtek says he only holds part of the shares, and a big decision like that involves consulting the other shareholders. Chan says that if he does this, they'll fulfill a request for the man later. He just needs the club shut down right now. O Guangtek stays silent. The boy yells his name. The man asks if he'll really do anything. Chan says Siu Doziak is with him and will speak to the man. Siu Doziak says that Chan is asking to let the 4 Westerners stay inside and evacuate the rest. Then he says he understood and hands the phone back to Chan. The boy calls for O on the phone. The man says they'll do as Chan wants. But if things get out of control, it'll be a problem, and should bring some of his men. The man says that for now, Siu Doziak and a few others are there, so Chan should take them. But he'll send some stronger men, who should arrive in 30 minutes. Chan reflects that if O Guangtek's men can handle the French gangsters, their chances of success will increase. The boy is thoughtful, but agrees and tells them to just close the club. O Guangtek replies that they're already doing it. Chan thanks her. Worried, Michelle asks what's going on and if something's wrong. He replies that he'll be honest with her, and says there are members of Serpent Venomux in the hotel. Seriously, he apologizes and says he didn't expect things to get this complicated. They should stay there for a while and leave when they get the chance. Michelle says they can help somehow. Chan responds that she won't be able to do anything with that frightened look on her face. The woman is speechless. The boy says that one day he'll have to return to France. If she draws attention by being involved with him, things could get messy. Chan stands up and says he'll leave first. He walks away saying they'll talk later. Chan speaks to Siu Doziak and says he's leaving those 3 girls in his care, and asks the man to handle his request as quickly as possible. Siu Doziak tells him not to worry. Everyone watches as Chan walks out of there. He thinks to himself that this is the moment where things get interesting. At the hotel, Several people walk around laughing and chatting. Chan tells Daeru that they should deal with the gangsters first. They go down the club stairs. Chan says they should take advantage and catch two of them off guard to start with the upper hand. Daeru agrees. The man says he left the tools in the car and asks if he should go back to get them, but Chan says there are things downstairs that can be used as weapons. Daeru asks what they'll do if the guys are armed. The boy replies that this is Korea. They wouldn't be carrying weapons. A few girls come up the stairs, annoyed. One of them complains to the others about being told to leave so suddenly. Chan mentally thanks Oh Gwangtaek. They arrive at the club. Since it's still early, there aren't many customers. Daeru draws Chan's attention. The men are sitting in the middle of the club. Chan says he saw them and tells his friend not to rush. They approach the group. Smithen notices their presence and greets Kang, who speaks to him casually. Smithen says he came because he had some free time and wanted to relax. Then he asks if Chan hadn't said he was coming with a few beautiful ladies. Chan says he contacted them earlier and they're still on the way. Smithen says that's a shame and asks if Chan would like to start the evening drinking with him. The boy asks if that's okay and Smithen invites him to sit. Chan and Daeru sit down. Probably Smithen is being polite because he's expecting the women. Chan picks up a drink, smiling. Smithen asks who the guy with him is. Chan replies that he's the one who introduced him to the ladies, Mr. Seok. Smithen laughs and says he gets what Chan means. Then he speaks in English to Daeru, greeting him. The man looks at the drink offered to him and takes it, but stays serious. Smithen smiles at him. They keep drinking. Little by little, everyone in the club leaves. Smithen comments that he's a bit disappointed. He thought Koreans like to party, but the place is quiet. Everyone left. Chan laughs and says it's because it's still early. Then he says Smithen will see soon enough. He'll be a big surprise. The club door is closed. One of the bodyguards says something's wrong. Chan yells for him and Daeru to attack. The man smashes his bottle into someone's face. Smithen panics and tries to make a run for it. Chan and Daeru strike the other two gangsters. They're fighting the men. Chan finishes one of them with a broken bottle. Smithen watches them in desperation. Chan glares at him, full of rage. Smithen runs. Something catches Chan's attention. It's one of the gangsters heading to attack Daeru. But Chan acts faster and hits the man with a bottle. Daeru runs after Smithen. He jumps on him and grabs him in midair. Both crash down. On the floor, Daeru is on top of him. Smithen is furious, his face pressed against the floor. Then Daeru starts punching him repeatedly. Meanwhile, Chan fights the gangsters further back. He lands several punches on the man who tries to defend himself. But eventually, Chan lands one square in his face. The gangster is thrown backward. He puts his hand inside his blazer. It looks like he's reaching for something. Chan gets worried, wondering if it's a knife or something else. The gangster pulls a knife from his suit. Chan thinks that at least it's not a gun and notices the man is standing awkwardly. He doesn't seem like a pro. The man points the knife at Chan, but the boy deflects his arm and punches him in the face. Chan grabs the man's wrist and shoulder. Then he twists his arm behind his back. The man falls to the ground in pain. Desperate, he begs Chan to wait. But with hatred in his eyes, Chan breaks his arm. The man screams in agony. They dealt with 3 gangsters more easily than expected. Now only one remains. Chan is shocked when he looks. Smithen has Daeru locked in his arm, holding his neck, threatening to break it and kill the man. Chan thinks Daeru was too confident in himself. Smithen comments that this can't just be about the contract. The boy observes Smithen moving his neck in the way he does when he's confident he can win a fight. He needs to get inside his opponent's head first. Chan asks if the man still didn't notice even after hearing his name. Smithen says he knows that name. The boy steps closer and asks how he survived and whether he betrayed the squad members. Smithen looks confused. Chan asks if he still hasn't figured it out and tells him the man he's holding is Daeru. The man asks who the boy is. Seriously, he says he's Kang Chan. Smithen freezes. Chan says he's the Kang Chan who held him when he thought he was about to die and beat him up when he left a battlefield just to cause trouble. Smithen's expression turns to one of desperation. That's the god of Blackfield, Kang Chan. He remembers when Chan found him harassing the surviving girl and beat him hard and yelled at him when he was about to die and told Chan he didn't want morphine. Chan shook him, asking who he was, and Smithen said he was the god of Blackfield. The man says that's impossible. Chan says maybe those who met unjust deaths pushed him back to tear off the traitor's head. Smithen complains, saying he didn't even want to go to Korea. Then he comments that it seems like Chan's body isn't the same anymore, and he doesn't need to tremble in fear because of a weakling. Chan says that if he's that curious, he should go check for himself. Smithen says that if he's Kang Chan and the other guy is Daeru, and the boy can't get any closer or he'll risk his comrade's life. Chan thinks that it seems like he started using his brain after joining a big corporation. Daeru begins to regain consciousness. Chan thinks he's an idiot and should be given a sign if he was awake. Smithen swears and twists Daeru's neck. Chan charges forward. He extends his thumb and strikes Smithen in the eye. The man screams in pain, then releases Daeru, who falls to the ground unresponsive. Chan looks at Smithen, serious. The man trembles with pain in his eye, then says that before it would have felt like being attacked by a storm of fire, but now it's just an insect sting. In fact, he should be praised for managing to do that so well with such an insignificant body. Chan reflects that the fact Smithen didn't pass out from his punch shows how weak he currently is. Smithen gets ready to fight and charges at Chan. He prepares to punch him, but the boy is faster and hits him in the face. then follows up with another blow. Chan is serious and plants his feet firmly on the ground. He turns and lands another punch to Smithen's face. The boy throws several punches and Smithen begins to defend himself. Full of rage, he prepares to throw another punch and hits Chan. The boy defends with his arms but is sent flying. Chan reflects that he's at a disadvantage and his only option is to aim for vital points to turn the fight around. Smithen laughs and says Chan is different from the god of Blackfield he once knew. Chan dodges his strike and hits him in one of his weak spots. The boy reflects that he's doing well, but gets punched in the ribs by Smithen. He feels terrible pain. Smithen says that won't work. Chan thinks that if he gets pushed now, he'll die. He moves quickly and punches Smithen in the face. The man loses his stance and Chan lands another blow to his face. Smithen glares at him with hatred and punches the boy in the stomach. Chan feels excruciating pain and counters with an elbow to Smithen's chin. They keep fighting and knocking each other back repeatedly. Smithen kicks Chan. The boy tenses up while trying to defend, then throws Smithen far away. The man loses his balance, and Chan prepares to attack him. He punches him in the stomach with all his strength. Smithen screams. He's badly beaten. Chan charges at him and braces on his knee to strike him with a knee to the chin, then follows up with an elbow to the head. Chan drops back to the ground. He turns towards Smithen and kicks him in the face. The man finally collapses to the floor. Chan is gasping for breath, so is Smithen. He breathes heavily on the floor. Chan grabs him by the collar. The man groans, saying it's happening again. Furious, Chan says they should end this already. He punches Smithen in the face repeatedly. The man trembles in pain, defeated. Chan comments that there's still one left. Smithen is terrified. Chan prepares to land the final punch. The man screams. Chan hits him a few more times while the man yells. He's finished on the ground. Chan walks out, holding his ribs. He's badly wounded too. Everything hurts. Chan knocks on the door and calls for Siu Doziak, asking him to open. Several of the Wangtake's gangsters enter with metal pipes. The boy asks them to take Seok Kangho, who is Daeru, to the hospital. They all move quickly. Siu Doziak asks if Chan is okay, and the boy tells him not to exaggerate, then asks for his metal pipe. He walks toward the French gangsters and says he has to finish them off too. With a strong blow, he strikes one man's leg. He hits both of them several times in a row. Blood splatters everywhere. The men tremble on the floor and Chan says this is Korea. Chan drops the pipe on the ground. He picks up a broken glass bottle and walks over to Smithen. He stops right in front of the man. Chan says he won't kill him. He'll even send him to the hospital, but from now on, he'll have to give up his figure activity. Smithen says Charlene sold him out. Chan says it's too late. The man keeps going, saying the diamonds and the drugs. It's because he's trying to use Kangyu motors. Chan tells him to repeat that. The others watch the bloodthirsty tone of that conversation. Smithen says there will be drugs inside the cars being imported. Chan says that makes no sense because they were going to give the rights to the competition. Smithen says that after completing the payments, they give them the cars on the condition that every time they imported, the cars would go through them and they remove the drugs. Chan thinks he didn't catch everything, but he's certain of one thing. If things don't change, his father will be in danger. And he reflects that he'll still be busy even after taking care of Smithen. In a swift motion, Chan drives the bottle into Smithen's chest. The man sobs in pain. Chan comments that he's already broken in some places and Smithen's body is so tough that won't be enough. One of the Wangtake's gangsters finds something. It's a mash sheet that one of the French gangsters had. Chan says this is the perfect moment and asks for the knife. The man hands him the mash sheet. Chan draws it and slashes Smithen's shoulders, saying this is for Daeru and for himself. Stu Doziak and another gangster watch it all unfold. Chan wipes the blood off his face and stands up, then orders them to take Smithen to the hospital too. Siu Doziak says those guys aren't the priority and they need to take care of Chan first. They should head to the car, which is already ready. Chan is serious. A car heads to the hospital. There, Chan gets out and the doctor is waiting at the entrance. The doctor sighs. Chan asks if Seok Kangho was brought in and how he's doing. Seriously, the man says they'll have to wait and see his progress. Chan thinks that's good. It means he's alive. Then the doctor says they'll take an x-ray of Chan and treat him first before talking. The nurse treats the injuries on Chan's hands. The boy asks her to remove the bandage on his right hand, then asks what the name of the hospital director is. Someone replies that it's Yu Hyunwoo. Both of them look. It's the doctor, who introduces himself as Dr. Yu Hyunwoo. He tells the nurse he'll take over from here, then calls Chan to follow him. In the office, he says he knows he told Chan he could come whenever he wanted, but this is a bit too soon. The boy says it just happened. Yu Hyunwoo says the x-ray results are back. 3 of Chan's left ribs are on the verge of breaking. His insides are a mess, and somehow he's still walking and even asking the doctor's name calmly. Chan says he'd never heard the man's name before. Yu Hyunwoo says Chan must be hospitalized. If he pushes too hard, his bones could break and pierce his organs. Chan replies that he can't do that and asks the doctor to just wrap him up. Seriously, the man says his bones are going to break and even the smallest shard could pierce his organs. Yu Hyunwoo says that if Chan isn't hospitalized, he could die. Chan replies that in that case, he can remove his organs and sell them. Then the doctor says that in Chan's current state, he couldn't even sell them as used goods. Chan tells the doctor to just give him any medicine and it'll be fine. Yu Hyunwoo asks the boy to explain why he's insisting so much. He says that if he ends up lying in a hospital bed right now, many people will be in danger. His family, his comrades, everyone. The doctor sighs and says he'll prescribe painkillers and strap on a strong rib belt. Once Chan finishes his business, he must return to the hospital. The boy agrees. Hyunwoo says Chan must never take off the belt, and that's not a request or a favor, but a direct order from his doctor. Chan agrees. He puts on the belt, which looks like a vest, and walks through the hospital corridors. A gangster approaches him and asks if he's okay. Chan asks where Seok Kang-ho is. The man points to a room. Inside, Daeru is unconscious in bed. Chan says that if he felt things were going wrong, he should have stopped and escaped. The boy curses his friend, calling him an idiot and a fool, then says he'll take care of everything, so Daeru should have a nice, long nap. Chan leaves the room. He is furious. In the corridor, he sees gang members who bow to him. Chan grabs a door handle and opens it. Inside are Smithin and the French gangsters. One of them laughs, and Chan asks what he's laughing at. The man says Chan let his guard down, but now his family won't get away unharmed. Chan asks if that's a threat. Then the man mocks him. The boy thinks that since they fought earlier, they're still provoking him. He has to crush their spirit. Chan calls the gangsters from outside the room. The boy asks one of them to bring him something he handed over earlier. He tells his companion to go get it from the van. Chan turns again to the Frenchman, who's now flipping him off. Quickly, the man returns with the item and hands it to Chan. The boy takes it and tells both of them to leave. He can't trust those Frenchmen to get by with just a few glass cuts. He feels bad for what Yoo Hyun-woo will have to deal with, but this is the best choice. Worried, the French gangster asks what he's doing. Chan replies that he's not going to kill him, just leave him in really bad shape. The man asks if Chan doesn't care about his family. Chan raises the mash sheet. He yells that they're on a business trip as foreigners, and if Chan does anything, it'll attract attention. The boy tells him to say all that to the embassy, then strikes the man, who screams in pain. The impact makes his eyes roll back and his teeth clench. The man begs Chan to stop and forgive him. After finishing with him, Chan turns to the next one, who tells the boy not to come any closer. He tries to get up and call for help, but Chan manages to reach him and he screams in desperation. Outside, the gangsters watch everything through the window. The man screams in pain and tells Chan to leave. Agonizing screams echo from inside the room. Suddenly, the noise stops. The door opens, and there's Chan, with a mash sheet in hand covered in blood. The two gangsters are frozen. Chan tells them to take those three to another room. The French gangsters are removed and taken elsewhere. Chan turns to Smithin. The man yells for Chan to wait and asks if he's coming toward him. He's blindfolded and screams that the boy has already done enough. Shannon says he's not going to kill him, but he's wondering if he'll still be able to walk perfectly with those feet. Smithin yells that he doesn't know anything. Then he shouts that Charlene came to them thinking the team had been wiped out, so he sent the rescue squad, but the fact that he's alive was pure luck. Chan screams, asking why Smithin follows Charlene like his loyal dog and says he should have reported that they were betrayed. Smithin says Charlene sold them out for a diamond. By the time he found out, there was nothing he could do. There were gangs everywhere and he was injured. He couldn't do anything. He just wanted to live a little longer. Chan says he should have reported the betrayal from inside the hospital instead of following that monster everywhere. The boy stabs him, asking if all he ever did was think of himself. Smithin screams in pain. Chan asks if there are others besides Charlene there in Korea. Smithin replies that there are two. Spinning the knife, the boy asks if they have any weapons. The man gives the names of two weapons. Chan pulls the knife out of Smithin's leg. He's gasping for breath. The boy reflects that of course they would have weapons. After all, they're not here to sell cars, but to traffic. If he and Daeru hadn't carried out the plan earlier, they would have had to face armed people later. In a swift move, he delivers another blow to Smithin's other leg. The man writhes in pain on the bed as Chan walks away. The boy drops the mash sheet there. He needs to end this before Charlene finds out. No matter how bold these guys are, they won't start a shootout in a hotel in Korea. They must be acting cautiously. The doctor opens the door angrily and yells at Kang Chan. He says this is a hospital, and if things like that start happening even in hospitals, he can't keep doing his job. Chan says the men are part of a French gang. If left alone, they'd recover and take everyone down, even the doctor. Yoo Hyun-woo falls silent. The boy says he neither killed nor died, so he didn't break their promise. But if Yoo Hyun-woo wants, he won't return to that hospital. The doctor stares at Chan and asks if they're still outside. Chan replies there are three of them, armed. Yoo Hyun-woo says he can't afford to lose a patient without insurance and with pockets full of money. He'll be waiting for Chan to come back. The boy sighs. The doctor and the nurse enter the room with Smithin to begin emergency treatment. Chan walks out into the hallway. Since Daeru is in bad shape, it'll be hard for him to make it to the hotel. Someone needs to drive him. The boy doesn't know if he should take an Uber or a bus. His mobility is limited, but asking a Wangtaek for more help doesn't sit right with him. Even if the boy manages to reach the hotel, he doesn't know how to make Charlene come down. He's not as simple as Smithin, and even if he's not fully aware, he must be suspicious. Barging into his room or calling him down isn't viable, and even if he finds him, he's in no condition to fight. Those guys even have weapons. Meanwhile, if someone pushed Chan with a single finger, he'd probably shatter into pieces. Chan reflects that this is the worst possible scenario. He has no advantage whatsoever. but he has to take care of this immediately. Then he thinks about something and questions whether this is really a situation he needs to deal with right now. Charlin assigned 3 gangsters to Smithin, who was simply going to flirt with a woman. There must be a reason. In a country without guns, with no clue that he and Dairo even existed, why'd assign guards to a strong man like Smithin? Unless it wasn't for protection, but for surveillance. Maybe Smithin knows Charlin's secret, or his weakness. So it's not that asterisk he's asterisk in a hurry. It's Charlin who's about to snap right now. Yu Hyunwoo is treating Smithin's leg. Chan returns to the room, startling the doctor. Then Yu Hyunwoo asks what he wants. The boy says it's nothing serious and asks if they speak French. Yu Hyunwoo says only English. Chan says he's going to have a private conversation with Smithin, but they can ignore him and continue the treatment. In French, he speaks to Smithin. Angrily, the man asks what he wants and if he'll only be satisfied after killing him. Chan brings up the diamond and asks what they would do with the money after selling it. Smithin remains silent. Chan asks if he's thinking of how to dodge the question and says that's a bad idea, then grabs Smithin's face and says that if he fails to deceive him, he'll be killed. Smithin asks if it's okay to talk with the doctor and nurse there. Chan tells him not to worry, they don't speak French. The man agrees and mentions the Swiss bank. The boy asks why Charlin keeps him alive and Smithin talks about the account password. They split it between them, half to Charlin, half to Smithin. So if one kills the other, they can't access the money. Chan thinks that makes sense, but Smithin wouldn't have come up with that himself. So he tells Smithin that he knows him and asks him to answer honestly why Charlin spared his life. Smithin says it wasn't his idea. Charlin came up with it when he visited him at the hospital and told him never to speak about it. There's still 10 million euros left. Chan thinks that's more than 10 billion won. It must be a massive diamond or something else. The boy asks if it's a blackhead. Smithin confirms. It's a gem that appears only once every few decades in Africa, the blood diamond. Now Neve understands why Charlin went crazy over it. Chan asks about the drugs. Smithin says Charlin only has samples of them. Chan reflects that he could have disposed of the drugs himself, then asks who they're selling to. Smithin says he doesn't know and begs Chan to believe him. He thinks he can't trust Smithin 100%, but he doesn't seem to be in a position to lie much. Then says he has one last question and asks Smithin for the bank password. Smithin says that's too much. Chan tells Yu Hyunwoo to start yelling. The doctor is confused. The boy explains that he should yell anything and make it seem like he's extremely upset. Yu Hyunwoo starts yelling at Chan as if he's furious, then yells at the nurse asking if she wants stew for dinner. Smithin thinks the doctor is raising his voice and wonders if Chan said he hurt him even more. Chan yells back at Yu Hyunwoo that tonkatsu would be better for dinner. The boy isn't jealous of the money. Besides, as long as Charlin doesn't speak, he won't be able to make a withdrawal. However, to bring Smithin down, there's no better weapon than this. Then he switches back to French and asks Smithin for the password one more time. The man is nervous and says the password is Smithin better than Captain. Chan thinks he's a dumbass. In the hallway, the gang members are chatting when Chan exits the room. He thinks about how the battle has already begun and he needs to win it. The boy puts his hand in his pocket and wonders where his brick Nokia is and if he dropped it during a fight earlier. Chan gets frustrated, then asks a gangster to call Wangtaek. The boss answers, and the gangster explains there's nothing wrong with Chan, but he asks to speak with him. He hands the phone to Chan. The boy steps outside talking to Wangtaek. The boss asks if Chan can even speak another language. Chan says whatever and asks if O knows about drug samples at the hotel. Tense, the man asks what Chan is talking about. Then the boy realizes he was careless. Wangtaek is a gangster. He could even be the buyer of those drugs. That means those guys could become his enemies in an instant. Furious, Wangtaek asks if there are drugs at the Namsan Hotel. Chan says they're just samples. Yelling, asks who's dealing without authorization with someone from another territory. Even so, Chan isn't sure if he's not involved and says there are 3 French guys with samples, which means someone wants to buy them. Wangtaek asks if Chan knows who it is, and the boy says no. The man says if deals are happening in that area, there's no way he hasn't heard about it. Chan explains they're from Serpent Venemu, a French gang, and they're armed. On the other end of the line, the man swears. Chan says he's planning to put an end to this today and will invite them somewhere. The man says it would be a problem if they cause more trouble at the hotel. Even the club reopened early, so he tells the boy to go to a villa and says he can get him a car. Chan says those French guys aren't ordinary fighters and Wangtaek shouldn't provoke them because if they go all out, there'll be trouble. Angrily, the man asks if the boy is ordering him to be discreet in his own territory, then says he'll mobilize his people. Wangtaek asks if they're going to the hotel or the villa. Chan says they're still deciding as the situation develops. The man tells him to call when he knows. They hang up. Chan checks the time. It's 10:08 a.m. The boy asks the gangster to call the hotel number. The man says the number isn't saved but moves in to dial it for him. The gangster punches in the number and hands the phone to Chan. Reception picks up and Chan asks to be connected to room 1901 under Mr. Charlin's name and tells them it's Kang Chan calling. The hospital is quiet. Someone answers the phone. Chan notices it's not Charlin's voice. Chan says he wants to speak to Charlin, but the person says he's unavailable and they can pass along the message. The boy agrees. At the Namsan Hotel, Charlin is sitting at a table talking. Someone walks up beside him. Charlin asks what's going on. The man says in French that someone called the room and he wanted to inform him as soon as possible. He leans towards Charlin's ear and speaks about the message. It involved a Swiss bank and drugs. Then he says that the person who called said the god of Blackfield is waiting for him at the hospital. Chan ends the call. He calls the phone's owner and asks to be connected to Siu Dozyak. Again, Chan speaks on the phone. Siu Dozyak answers, asking why the man is calling. Chan says it's Kang Chan speaking. Then Siu Dozyak asks what the boy wants. Chan brings up the guest named Charlin and asks Siu Dozyak to report all of his movements, what he did earlier, where he is now, and what he's currently doing, as detailed as possible. Siu Dozyak says that not long ago, a foreigner was looking for Smithin. He was hanging around the club, peeking inside before it opened. Currently, he's at the restaurant having a meeting with some Korean guests. Chan asks if Siu Dozyak knows who those guests are. The man replies that they seem to be important executives from Sujiang Motors. Chan thinks it's strange that he's meeting with Sujiang Motors executives at that hour. Then the boy says that if anything happens, Siu Dozyak should call that number. The man agrees. Chan asks if Siu Dozyak has finished cleaning the club. The man replies yes. They've even reopened the place. The boy asks if they found a Nokia there, but Siu Dozyak says he didn't oversee the cleaning. Even so, he hasn't heard anything, but he'll check. Finally, Chan confirms by asking if Charlin is at the restaurant and tells Siu Dozyak to go to his room and check if there's anything interesting there. Siu Dozyak apologizes and says that with his level of authority, he can't inspect any rooms. Even for boss Oak Wangtaek, that would be impossible. Chan reflects that it's a hotel, so it must be a complicated matter. Chan says it's fine and asks Siu Dozyak to keep an eye on him and notify him if the man returns to his room. The gangster agrees. Boy hangs up and thinks that there were some strange things, but so far it seems that Smithin hasn't lied to him. Upon hearing that the god of Blackfield is waiting for him, Charlin becomes terrified. He grits his teeth and then calms himself. Smiling and speaking to the man who approached him, he says he understands and asks him to wait a moment. Speaking to the men at the table, he apologizes and says headquarters gave him an urgent task to handle. The Koreans tell him not to worry. They've already discussed the important matters. Charlin thanks them for being so understanding and says goodbye. Charlin leaves alongside the man who came to him. As he passes by, another man makes a phone call. Charlin thinks about the god of Blackfield and wonders if it could be Smithin. Chan is standing in the hospital hallway. He looks serious. A gangster approaches him and says that Dozyak Hyunnim is on the phone. Kang Chan answers, and the person on the other end says Charlin is returning to his room. And no one seems to have seen his phone. Chan says he understands and thanks him. Then he hangs up. The boy becomes thoughtful. This would be the perfect moment to smoke a cigarette. Then he looks at the phone and reflects that, considering the elevator time, Charlin should be arriving at his room right about now. He calls Charlin. The man answers in French, and Chan introduces himself as Kang Chan and says he called because Charlin seems to have something to say. Seriously, the man says it sounds like Chan heard some things from Smithin, but he has nothing to gain from this interference. Chan asks if he should just hang up. Charlin tries to negotiate and says that if Chan tells him where Smithin is, they'll give him exclusive rights to the cars, but he must not get involved anymore. Chan reflects on that and concludes that Charlin probably betrayed him. After all, no one would believe that Kang Chan from Africa returned alive to Korea, so he decides to play along for now. Chan says Kangyu Motors doesn't have the flexibility to pay the full contract amount. Charlin tells him not to worry. They'll hand over the rights with just a payment for 50 cars. Chan says he doesn't want a promise. He wants a document. The man becomes furious. The boy says Charlin doesn't seem like a very trustworthy man. Charlin stays silent for a moment, then says the boy's got guts for someone his age, but there's a very large organization involved, so he needs to say where Smithin is. Chan says he doesn't care, he just wants the contract, and if Charlin changes the subject again, he can consider Smithin gone for good. Charlin asks what guarantee he has that Smithin will be delivered safely if the contract is finalized. Mocking, Chan asks if he doesn't have enough money in the Swiss bank. Seriously, Charlin says of course he has great financial power, but it takes time to register and announce the contract. Chan says then they'll have to fall into ruin together. Charlin clenches his teeth in rage. Then Chan tells him not to make useless excuses, that this doesn't sound like the Charlin he knows. The man says the boy isn't much different from the Kang Chan he used to know. The boy thinks he doesn't need to reveal everything at once and tells him not to change the subject. Charlin asks if Chan is with Smithin, but he doesn't answer. Chan brings up the Swiss bank, drugs, Blackhead, and whether there's anyone there who could expose it all. Charlin agrees, falling into desperation, and says they'll finalize the contract the next day at 10 a.m. at the hotel's business center. Chan begins to think. If his father gets involved in the negotiations, both he and his mother could be in danger. But he can't just change course at this point. Chan agrees and says they'll meet the next day at 10 a.m. at the business center, then hangs up. Charlin slams the phone down, furious and cursing. He complains about the way the boy talks and acts without knowing how terrifying that world really is. He reminds him of the old Kang Chan. Chan reflects that Charlin is different from Smithin. No matter how stressed he is, he does what needs to be done and doesn't make mistakes. He's still the same as ever. Chan is sitting in the hospital reception area. He's deep in thought. The situation is a mess and his body is wrecked. The boy drinks a coffee and notices it's already 10:45 at night. He crushes the small cup and throws it in the trash. Tomorrow's problems can wait. Right now, he should call home. Chan asks the receptionist if he can use the phone because he lost his Nokia, and the woman easily agrees. She hands the boy a phone, and he thinks about what he should say to them, then sighs. It almost feels like he really has become a student. Someone answers, and Chan says it's him. The person asks where he is and why he hasn't answered the calls. His father says his mother was worried and asks if he's coming home. The boy says he'll be there soon. Then the father says the details can wait until he arrives, and Chan agrees. Chan thanks the receptionist for the phone and returns the device. Then he leaves, serious. He thinks about his mother watching him from the car when he was discharged, and his father smiling. He remembers his father comforting her while she cried, and many moments he spent with those two. Even if he has to go back there later, he should go home first. He calls one of the gangsters at the hospital. The man asks if he needs something, and the boy says he has a request. He asks the man to get him some clothes to change into, and also tells him to inform Siu Doziak and Ok Wangtaek that they'll meet at 10 a.m. If anything happens, they need to contact him. The man agrees. Chan's father tells his wife that he's coming home. The woman is in bed, and he asks if she's feeling better. Smiling, the mother says yes. Then the father asks if Chan is all she ever thinks about. The woman asks if that's a real question. The man says he's fine with it, but she needs to take care of her health. He lowers his head. His phone rings. It's the director calling late at night. The man answers. The director says several things, and Chan's father asks what he means by that. Then he asks if what's being said is true and confirmed, if the French headquarters verified it and there wasn't a translation error. He says he's not against it, he just can't believe it, then says he can go at 10 a.m. the next day. The man thanks him and hangs up. He's left in shock. His wife asks what's wrong. The man says that if they pay for the contract of 50 cars, they'll get the monopoly on gonk cars in Korea for the next 20 years. The woman is stunned and asks what that means. He explains that they're giving them the monopoly on all the company's cars, not just the shift. They'd want to meet the next day to sign. The woman is confused. The man says he doesn't understand it either, and that they said it's because of Chan. He wonders what the boy did. He got angry at him over a phone without even knowing the whole story. Then they hear the sound of the door. It's Chan coming home. He apologizes for arriving late. His parents look at him worried. His mother grabs his hand and asks why his hands and face are injured. Then she asks if something happened. Chan says it's just from the gym, nothing important. But the woman remains concerned. She asks if he's had dinner, and the boy replies yes. His father says he needs to tell him something. Then he explains that he received a call, and they said that because of him, the contract is being signed. Chan asks if they called him directly. The man says they asked to meet the next day at 10 a.m. and asks what Chan did. The boy says he just got help from someone on the internet. His mother becomes worried. She hugs Chan tightly, and the boy feels pain in his ribs. He becomes concerned about the woman, who's tearful in his arms. Chan asks what's wrong. The woman replies that just thinking about how hard it must have been for him made her feel that way. Chan says his father did all the work. He only gave a little help. The boy says his mother's health is more important to him than that contract. Then he hugs her back. That's the feeling of having a family. He gently pulls her back and says there's something else. The boy asks if she knows Siep Kang-o of his PE teacher. The mother says yes and asks if something happened. Chan says he was in a car accident and was thinking about visiting him at the hospital. The mother asks if at that hour, and the boy confirms. He says he was thinking about spending the night with him. His mother asks where his family is. The boy says they recently went on a trip. The woman tries to object, but his father says Chan can go. Chan thanks the man, who says he'll go down with the boy. He was thinking about going for a smoke anyway. They go down together. Chan and his father are sitting side by side. The man asks if the gangsters helped him, and the boy says no, asking how a simple group of people from this country could interfere in a foreign company. His father agrees and asks what Chan did, and tells the boy not to talk about online acquaintances. He's a businessman. Chan says it was something Charlene proposed, and he'll explain it in detail later. His father asks why, and Chan says that if he asks now, the boy will have to lie, and he doesn't want to do that. The man says he understands, and thanks the boy, saying his father owes him one. Chan nods, and his father tells him not to get hurt. Doesn't make sense to earn billions if the boy isn't in good condition. At the hospital, Chan gets out of the elevator and is greeted by one of the gangsters. The boy tells him to stand up straight and asks how many times he plans on bowing today. The man starts to say something and says the teacher is awake. Chan gets really excited. He runs to Daeru's room. The man is there in bed and notices Chan's presence. The boy asks if he's alive. Mocking, the man asks if Chan really thinks he died to someone like Smithen. Smiling, Chan jokes and says Daeru was defeated by a gentle tap. The man says it wasn't a tap and that he got a few hits too. Chan pulls a stool closer and says they can stick with that version. Daeru asks if Chan got hurt anywhere. Waving his hand, the boy says he broke a few ribs and hurt his hand, but it's nothing serious. The man asks Chan to tell his wife he got into a car accident. The boy says they already did, and he thanks him. Daeru asks where his clothes are and tells Chan to get a cigarette from the pocket of his jacket. Chan gets excited that he has cigarettes and asks if he can have one. Then the man says he's a teacher and his captain is a student. They shouldn't be smoking together. Chan complains, saying that's not fair. Using the bed remote, he raises Daeru and lights his cigarette. The man is happy to be smoking. He looks at Chan and says that a student like him shouldn't be a passive student either. Chan tells him to stop annoying him. Daeru asks him to tell him what happened while he was unconscious. Then Chan explains everything that happened, and he listens carefully. At the end, Daeru tells the boy that he has 2 requests for him, and that he'll have to fulfill at least one. Chan asks what they are. Daeru starts by saying they should let Charlene leave the next day. Chan looks confused. Then Daewoo explains that it's not just about the contract with his father, but it also seems like Charlin is planning to return after getting Smithin. He asks if Chan didn't finish Smithin off and says letting Charlin go is the best way for Chan to avoid losing his life and for his father not to lose the contract. Chan looks at him thoughtful and asks what his friend expects him to say. Daewoo replies that he thinks Chan will say it's nonsense and that he'll chase Charlin to the end. Hitting his fist against his leg, Chan says Daewoo knows him well. That's nonsense, and he will chase Charlin to the end. Taking a drag from his cigarette, Daewoo says he knew he'd say that, so here's his second request, and tells Chan to take him to see Smithin. Chan looks confused and asks if he wants to go right now. Daewoo answers that if Chan takes him to the hotel tomorrow, he won't be able to see him anymore, so he wants to meet with Smithin at least once. Chan agrees and gets up. He walks out to the hallway and asks a gangster for a wheelchair. In the room, Smithin is lying down, covered in bandages, resting. He hears a noise approaching. Chan is pushing a wheelchair toward him. Smithin panics and asks in French, "Who's there?" Daewoo laughs and says Chan really destroyed the man. Chan tells Smithin that Daewoo is here. The man can't respond. Daewoo asks if that idiot doesn't speak Korean, and Chan says no, since he didn't reincarnate. Then the man says it's going to be hard to communicate with him, just like in the past. Chan says he'll translate whatever he wants to say. Daewoo agrees and opens his mouth to speak. He insults Smithin and says he's already forgiven him. Chan wonders what he's supposed to say with that. The boy looks at Smithin and says that the next day, once he walks out, he should live the rest of his life in remorse as an apology to the squad members who died unjustly. In despair, Smithin asks if Chan is really the god of Blackfield. Chan asks if he didn't hear him earlier, and the man says he wasn't in the right mindset back then. After thinking it over, he realized it might have been a trick set up by Charlin to get him to reveal the password. The boy replies that he's sure Charlin doesn't know he was almost beaten to death for harassing a teenage survivor. Smithin is speechless and says he borrowed a certain amount from Daewoo, so if he asks Chan to ask how much it was, Chan does. Daewoo says that idiot took his money 3 times to go mess around, then says it was 4 times if you count when he ran off with his wallet. Chan asks if Smithin really ran off with Daewoo's wallet. The man gets nervous as he realizes that boy is his captain. Chan says that if he doesn't believe it, then forget it. But Smithin says it's shocking that Chan was reborn into a new body after dying and wonders if that's even possible. Chan says he doesn't know, but since it happened to them, it must be. Smithin says nothing, and the boy says they'll hand him over to Charlin the next day and won't tell him the password, so he should just go back to France forever. The man asks Chan if he has a cigarette. Chan tells Daewoo that he wants a cigarette and asks if they should give him one. Daewoo says give him just one. Chan puts the cigarette in Smithin's mouth and lights it. He grumbles, saying that now he's lighting his subordinates' cigarettes like a servant. Daewoo says he's the only one there who's still young and healthy, don't take it personally. Smithin asks if the cigarette is Korean and says it's good. Chan tells him to shut up and smoke. Smithin brings up Charlin's password and says he knows it. Chan is shocked. The man says he has some gong shares in his name. Half of them came from the money he got from the diamond, the other half came from the gangs. If he goes to France, he'll be killed. Chan says that's a bunch of nonsense. But Smithin asks the boy to protect him, and he'll tell him the bank account password. Chan gets furious and asks if the man thinks he's forgiven him just because of those sweet words. He says he has no plans to touch the money he got by sacrificing the whole team, so Smithin will have to deal with Charlin himself. Smithin says that in the hotel in front of City Hall and in the Banpo Hotel, there are 10 members of the Chinese and Japanese mafia. If Charlin asked him to hand him over the next day, then those guys are going to interfere. Once again, Smithin begs Chan to save him. The boy thinks that things are getting out of control and that it might be better to deal with Charlin face-to-face that same night. Smithin says he thinks Charlin wants to distribute drugs between Japan and China. If they find out Chan ruined his plans, they won't stand still. Chan says that no matter what the man says, he can't live in Korea. Then Smithin asks Chan to make him the manager of the Korean branch of Gongt. Chan laughs and tells Daewoo that Smithin is crazy. The teacher asks what he said, and the boy explains. Daewoo tells Chan to ask him how he knows Charlin's password. If it's true, then they should deal with the mafia that night and handle Charlin afterward. Chan smiles and says that even though Daewoo has gotten weak, he's smart now. The man laughs and tells Chan to screw himself. The boy asks if they're really making Smithin the manager of the Korean branch. Daewoo asks if the boy can recommend him for that position. Chan says it's not quite like that, but they could do something with that money. Seriously, Daewoo says to take Smithin to the school since he's good at French and English. The teacher feels down about putting Smithin in a bad situation. Chan says they should continue that conversation later, and he asks Smithin how he found out Charlin's password. The boy wonders how an idiot like that managed to ignore that bastard Charlin. Smithin says his password is * God of Blackfield *. Chan is in shock. The boy says Charlin is a bastard and asks how Smithin found out. The man says he found out while telling the bank his password. Charlin had asked him to call the bank. He always says his password first. But that day, he accidentally said * God of Blackfield * instead of his own password. And they asked him to say the second password. So he said * Smithin better than Captain *, and the withdrawal was completed. That's how he found out that Charlin's password was * God of Blackfield *. Chan thinks this is a mess, especially the fact that Charlene would use such an easy password. Then he wonders if he should believe Smithin. The man turns to the boy and asks if he's doubting him, then says if the password is wrong, Chan can break his neck afterward. Seriously, Chan tells him to forget it and says that since he told them without even being asked, it must be true. Smithin says that, as Chan knows, Charlene always pays attention to who's around him. He probably trusts those Chinese and Japanese guys, so they should take care of them. Chan is confused by Smithin, using the collective they. The man corrects himself and says Chan should deal with them. Chan sighs. Smithin shouts, saying that if he goes back to France after the contract is finalized, the guys from Serpent Venom of will kill him. Chan wonders why the man got agitated all of a sudden. Then the boy says they probably already suspect Smithin because he's there with them. The man asks what he can do about it, and says that Charlene doubts him because he doesn't know that he knows his password. Until now, they hadn't crossed paths with the gang, but Charlene got greedy and bought Gong shares under Smithin's name. In France, he'll use the rest of the money to settle everything. After that, the man will be useless to Charlene, who will then eliminate him. Chan stays silent. Smithin says he already lost an eye and an arm, so he asks his captain to save him. Daeru asks what he's talking about. Chan says that, in short, he's asking to be saved and for them to take down Charlene. Seriously, Daeru asks what the boy is going to do. He says he was the one who almost died at Smithin's hands, so he'll let him decide. Daeru says that, as he said earlier, he forgave him, so they should help him. Chan asks if he's sure about that. He looks at Smithin in bed and confirms. Chan leaves the room with Daeru in the chair. He asks one of the gangsters to call Wangtaek. Quickly, the gang boss answers, and the man hands the phone to Chan. The boy answers, and Wangtaek asks what's going on. Chan says that in a hotel near City Hall and in the Bampo Hotel, there are 10 Chinese and Japanese gangsters. We'll ask the name of the organization, but the boy doesn't know. Wangtaek says with that many people, they'll find out soon enough. Chan says he'll need a room in Namsan the next day. The man says he needs to ask Dozak to do it and asks if Chan will stay at the hospital and if he can use that number to contact him. The boy confirms. Later, at the hospital, Wangtaek enters the room smiling and says they both look a little beat up. Chan says they're not that bad and asks why the man came to the hospital. The man says they found the foreigners and are about to start the attack. The boy is confused. Then Wangtaek asks if he's not going. Daeru is surprised. Chan begins to speak and asks if Wangtaek is hesitating. The man asks what the boy is talking about. Looking him in the eyes, Chan says that if he's not confident, he should just say it. Wangtaek tells him to speak in a way that's easy to understand. So Chan says the man thinks he's going to follow his orders just because he cleared the club and helped him with a few minor things. The man tells him to calm down and asks if Chan thinks he came all the way there to ask him to go fight for him. The man is angry and asks if Chan is messing with him. Wangtaek says that since they're helping him, the man only came to ask for a bit of consideration to witness the end of that incident. Then he asks if Chan really thinks someone like him would ask a mere student for help. Chan says he doesn't care and they should end the conversation there. He already made a promise and will fulfill a request from Wangtaek. But after that, he doesn't want to cross paths with the man again. Wangtaek laughs and curses at Chan, then yells that with this incident he'll consider the debt settled, and after that, they could be done with everything. Chan asks him to remove his men from the hospital too. The man gets angry and says he doesn't keep them there because of him, but because that hospital is vital for them. So he should stop calling him all the time. They have other things to do as well. Chan says he doesn't care since it's Wangtaek's business, not his. Angry, the man storms off, telling Chan to study so he doesn't turn into a bum. Then he leaves saying he feels like crap. Chan stays silent, and Daeru asks why he did that. The boy asks what he's talking about. Daeru says Chan didn't need to talk to Wangtaek like that. Then the boy tells Daeru to think straight and says they're gangsters. Even though they owe them for some things, that should be the final point. They'll defend their territory, while the two of them deal with Charlene. Daeru sighs and says he doesn't think Chan is wrong. He becomes serious. Chan stays silent. Then they look at each other. Chan says a worn-out guy like Daeru shouldn't overthink and tells him to go rest. The man asks about Chan, who says he'll sleep too, after taking care of a few things. The next day, Daeru wakes up and asks if Chan is awake. The boy says something feels strange and starts talking about his body. Daeru asks if his injuries got worse and if he wants a doctor. But Chan is smiling and excited, then says he's feeling much better. The man is confused. The boy stretches and says it still hurts a little, but his condition is already much better. He wonders if it's really possible to get that much better in just one day. Daeru raises his bed with the remote and answers Chan's question saying that's more normal than dying and waking up in a stranger's body. Chan agrees. He picks up the room phone and asks to use an ambulance. The person on the other end asks something and Chan says he can't answer, then thanks them. He hangs up the phone and tells Daeru to take care because he'll be back soon. Daeru asks if Chan will be okay on his own. The boy says no, but it's still better than having a man with a twisted neck by his side. The man gets annoyed and yells at Chan to take care. The boy leaves saying he will. Daeru watches him go, then grabs a cigarette. He lights it and smokes. Chan is inside an ambulance with Smithin. The man asks if it's just the two of them going. Chan asks why a man with battle experience like him is cowering in fear. Smithin says he's never gone into battle with his body in that state. Chan tells him not to worry because everything will go according to plan. Even so, the man remains tense. The ambulance arrives at the hotel. It enters the garage and parks. Chan gets out, pushing Smithin in the wheelchair. Someone runs up to greet him and asks if he is Kang-chan. The boy confirms. The man says they were informed of his arrival and will take him to the guest room using the service elevator. They take the elevator with the man, who pulls something out of his blazer and hands Chan the keycard for suite 1701. They arrive at the correct floor. Chan and Smithin enter the room. Inside, Chan sits on the sofa. He's calm. Looking at the clock, it's still 9 o'clock. He wonders if he should call Charlene. Then he calls the front desk and says he'd like to speak with a guest named Charlene. Charlene answers, asking if it's Kang-chan. The boy says he's in room 1701 and tells the man to come alone. On the other end, Charlene asks about a possible ambush, and Chan says the contract is vital for them, so there's no reason for that. When the contract is finalized at 10 o'clock, once the lawyer confirms it, Smithin will be handed over. Charlene says the deal must be fair. Chan asks what he wants, and Charlene says he'll bring someone to watch the room while they sign the contract. The boy reflects that it's a clever move, but it won't harm him, so he agrees. Charlene says he'll arrive in 10 minutes. The boy lowers his head. Someone knocks at the door, and Chan says they may enter. It's Charlene, accompanied by a man. He's shocked by what he sees. Then he points at Smithin and asks Chan what he did. The boy says they had some disagreements. Smiling, Chan says that's a light punishment considering he betrayed his comrades. Charlene says the boy's games are going too far and that he could take Smithin out of there right now. Chan stands up and asks if Charlene thinks he's as dumb as Smithin, then says that if Charlene does anything, the hotel security will arrive in 3 minutes to stop him. Charlene says it doesn't matter what he prepared, they just need to take Smithin. Then he tells his bodyguard to stay put. Chan looks at him serious. The man has a gun in hand. He lowers the gun and stands still, staring. Charlene says he should behave until the man comes back after signing the contract. Chan tells him to do as he wishes. The man asks where the other 3 are. The boy says they'd only slow him down in that situation and he'll release them as soon as they finish there. Charlene stares at him serious and says he'll be back soon. The French gangster with him keeps staring at Chan. The boy asks if he can sit down and the man nods. Then Chan sits. He reflects that everything's going smoothly, but there's something they'll need to deal with if they go through with this. The room falls silent until 10:06. The phone rings. Chan answers. It's Siu Dosuk. He says the contract was signed without issues, and the lawyer has already verified it and Charlene has already left. Chan says he understands and hangs up the phone. Then he tells the man there that the contract was signed and they just need to finish things there. The man remains silent. Smithin asks Chan to remove the bandage from his remaining eye. The boy asks why. He says he wants to watch. Chan grumbles, but removes the bandage from Smithin's eye. Someone knocks on the door while Chan is doing that. It's Charlene, who enters with a man. The mustached man stays by the door. Chan uncovers Smithin's eye. Charlene says they signed the contract that Chan wanted. Now it's his turn, and says he knows he's said this before, but he really does look like the Kang-chan he once knew. Chan smiles. Charlene says that's the same smile that always crushed his pride. The boy asks if the former Kang-chan crushed the man's pride. Charlene is confused. Chan asks if the blackhead was more precious than the lives of his soldiers. The man trembles with rage, but holds back. He stares at Charlene and comments that idiot talked to him about Asterisk god of Blackfield Asterisk. The boy approaches and asks why he won't answer his question. Charlene asks what else the boy is planning and says that if he keeps acting like this, he'll have to go after his mother. Chan smiles and asks what that has to do with him, then says Charlene didn't notice a few things. The man is startled, and the boy tells someone to let the others in. Someone starts entering the room. Charlene is shocked. Chan smiles. A few men enter the room. Charlene asks how, and Chan asks if he's surprised. Smithin asks if Charlene hasn't realized yet. He fell into the trap. From Asterisk, god of Blackfield Asterisk. Charlene is in disbelief. Chan asks if Charlene's nickname isn't Desert Ice, and questions how he could have used such a weak password, then says Charlene is going to die because of it. The man asks if Smithin sent the money to France. Chan says it was the price of the shares Smithin had, and they added a bonus for Charlene's head, which cost 7 million euros. Charlene looks at the men by the door, confused. Chan explains that they switched sides the night before. They received a request from France, asking to let them continue their business and promising not to distribute in Korea. The boy asks if Charlene planned to have them attack their home, the place they need to protect. Then he asks if he should explain it more simply. Chan says that there's no one on Charlene's side there. Charlene gets nervous and says Chan is more impressive than he expected. Then he says he noticed there are a lot of security cameras in that country and asks if it wouldn't be strange for a foreigner to disappear in that hotel. Chan asks if the man is clinging to the law and says he looks truly overwhelmed and says he'll give him 2 options. He can surrender immediately and beg to be killed without pain, or he can fight Chan. Charlene is confused. Then the boy says they should handle things their way. The man asks if the boy means the mercenary way, and asks if the kid is really the god of Blackfield. Chan says it's up to him to believe it or not. Charlene asks if the men there will accept it if he manages to kill Chan. The boy confirms and says they're only there to watch. Then Charlene agrees and takes off his suit. Chan also removes his jacket. One of the men has bandages and 2 knives in hand. He ties Chan and Charlene's wrists together. The men watch, smiling. With their wrists tied, Chan and Charlene each hold a knife. Charlin says that if he is Kang Chan, he must remember. They both move quickly. The man talks about the time Chan couldn't dodge his bullet. Chan stumbles and falls backward. Charlin lunges over him. His neck is nearly cut. The boy realizes Charlin won't be easy to deal with. The man prepares to strike Chan with his knife, but the boy dodges. Chan moves fast and attacks Charlin's face, but he blocks it with his knife. The fight heats up, each trying to strike the other continuously. Many blows made defenses. Very fast movements. The two boys stare at each other. Chan tries to stab Charlin's chest, but he defends with his knife. The boy asks if it was also him who shot Dairo. Charlin asks what would be the point of answering that. If not for Smithen, who was the first to almost die, he was responsible for all the others who died. But if he had personally shot Smithen, the man probably would have died too. Chan curses him. Their knives clash, and the boy pushes Charlin back with a blow. They stagger, but Charlin comes right back and lands a strike on Chan. He cuts the boy on the shoulder and says he had a lot of fun putting a bullet in his head and in everyone from that squad. Then concludes by saying that today he's going to enjoy it even more. Charlin charges at Chan quickly. The boy sees it just in time and deflects the strike. The man smiles and tries to hit Chan several times in a row, but he moves quickly. Charlin smiles while Chan stays serious, dodging his blows. Smithen reflects that compared to the captain who hasn't fully recovered, Charlin is in top shape that day. Chan might have been called the god of Blackfield in the past, but he won't win easily with those weak arms, and he shouldn't have even accepted that fight. Charlin gets ready to strike Chan once more. The boy reflects that he only needs one opportunity, which will come if he endures to the end. He will use it to end everything once and for all. Charlin lunges with the knife at Chan and slashes his cheek, leaving a cut. They keep attacking and defending. Charlin manages to land several cuts on Chan. The men watch from outside. Smithen is tense. Chan starts to get nervous, and Charlin is startled. The boy stands before him with his head down. Charlin asks if they should end the fight, and pulls on the wrist tied to the boy. Chan steps closer, and Charlin prepares for a fatal strike. But that's the moment Chan was waiting for. Shocked, Charlin realizes Chan isn't resisting. He's moving toward him. He wonders if the boy had planned that from the very beginning. Chan thinks that the distance between them has disappeared. All he needs to do is attack him. Charlin charges as well. They stop after striking each other, but Chan managed to dodge the man's blow. Meanwhile, Charlin was hit in the ribs. Chan twists the knife in him and pulls it out completely, making a cut with the weapon's serrated edge. Charlin weakens and falls against the boy's shoulder, dropping his knife. Chan unties his wrists. The man ends up on his knees on the floor. Smithen smiles excitedly. The men watching the fight do too. Chan says they're all going to end up in hell anyway, so they'll have to fight again when they meet there. One of the men starts speaking in Mandarin, saying that now that everything's over, they'll handle the cleanup. They cover Charlin's body with a cloth. Chan asks in French if he can count on them for this. The men look at each other for a moment. Then one of them tells Chan they've done this dozens of times, there's nothing to worry about. The boy is serious. They start wrapping the man's body in the black fabric and tie it up. One of them grabs a container and starts spreading a liquid across the floor. Chan sits on the couch. He's downcast and thoughtful. Someone calls out to him. It's the mustached man who says his boss wants to speak with Chan. The boy answers the phone. On the other end, the man thanks Chan for getting rid of that nuisance for them. Chan tells him not to forget the two things he promised. The man says a gentleman always keeps his promises and protects his honor, then asks what Chan's name is. He stays silent for a moment and introduces himself as Asterisk, God of Blackfield Asterisk. On the other end, the man laughs and says it's an elegant name, then tells him that if he ever needs anything, he just has to introduce himself with that name. After ending the call, he hands the phone to the man, who says they're heading out. Chan asks why they're taking Charlin. The man says they must protect the honor of their partners. Besides that, they have more news for Chan. Smithen will soon be announced as manager of the Gaunt branch. The men go silent, then speak in Mandarin. One of them tells Chan that the guy beside him is thanking him for the incredible fight and the deal, and said he hopes to visit and meet informally one day. Chan tells the man to say that if he sees him again, he'll kill him. The man relays the message. The other guy starts laughing. Chan asks if he delivered the message properly. The man says yes, while the other keeps laughing. Then he says it's time for them to go. A hotel staff member enters with a cart. They place the wrapped up Charlin in the cart and leave. Chan tells Smithen that they should go too. The man says Chan did a good job. They take the elevator down. The boy exits, pushing the man's wheelchair. In the parking garage, a few men wait and tell Chan they can take Smithen. Then one of the men says Chan did a great job and hands him a cell phone, saying that a Wangtae gave it to him as a final gift and the number is the same as the old one. Chan stays silent. The man says it's compensation for dealing with the Chinese and Japanese without causing a scene. Ho Wangtae said he'll visit his school if he doesn't accept the gift. Chan smiles and takes the phone and saying the man has a lot to clean up, but he replies that it's nothing serious. Chan walks away, telling the man not to act like they know each other anymore. Bowing, the man tells Chan to take care on his way home. He gets into the ambulance, and they leave. Smithen wonders how he'll live from now on. But Chan tells him not to worry, he probably still has 3 million euros left. Smithen asks the captain to take that money and split with Dairo. Smithen says he has more than 12 million in stocks, and since he'll be Gong's branch manager, his salary will be quite high. Chan asks if he thinks he's going to accept that. Smithen tells him just to take it as a reward for the hardships he had to endure, but the boy laughs. Chan says Smithan will be spending some time in the hospital, so he should use that money. Smithan comments that he never thought he'd live in Korea. The boy tells him to leave if he doesn't like it, go somewhere beautiful with pretty girls, but Smithan refuses. He says he'll stay with Chan and Daeru for a while. At the hospital, someone says that Chan is the VIP client. It's the doctor, who asks how Chan managed to get those injuries in just a few days. Chan asks the doctor to give him some VIP privileges, and asks if he could buy him some clothes in the same style as the ones he was wearing. The doctor says that place is a hospital, not a shopping mall. Chan smiles and says that's exactly why he's asking for VIP privileges. The doctor frowns and presses on Chan's wound to finish the bandage, then says he'll talk to administration about his request. The boy smiles and thanks him. Later, in Daeru's room, he's smoking and saying he should have been there to see Charlone's guts spilling out of his body. Chan comments that he thought he'd feel happy when he was gone, but it wasn't as good as he expected. Daeru looks at him disheartened, then changes the subject, asking if he really manipulated the French, Chinese, and Japanese while he was asleep. Chan says the man knows how bad it feels to be unable to reach your teammates during an operation, and he figured Charlene would contact them. The French just wanted to close their business one way or another, so he did what had to be done and gave them what they wanted. Laughing, Daeru says that even if Chan's body is trash, his brain got sharper. Chan replies that his brain was always good. Chan says they still have some money left over from that incident, and Smithan told them to split it among themselves. Daeru asks how much, and Chan says 3 million euros. The man is shocked to realize that's 4 billion won. Then he says they need to pay the hospital first, then Chan can do whatever he wants with the rest of the money since he didn't do much. Chan says they can decide that later. Daeru asks what Chan is going to do. Now that he's killed Charlene and got his revenge, he asks if the boy is going to live as Kang Chan the mercenary, or Kang Chan the high school student. He needs to make a decision. Chan becomes thoughtful. Daeru asks Chan to think carefully, and says that no matter what he chooses, he'll always stand by his decisions. Chan thinks about how he dealt with Charlene with his own hands. His revenge is complete. From now on, he doesn't have to worry about being sniped just for sitting near a window. This is a life where he doesn't have to sleep while escaping enemy eyes in the jungle or the desert. A life where he doesn't have to worry about killing or being killed. A life next to a kind and wealthy family waiting for him. It's nothing too hard. As long as he does nothing and sits quietly, his life will become peaceful. But he wonders if all that truly belongs to him. Does he really deserve all that peace? Chan thinks about how he'd like to return that body to its rightful owner. He wouldn't hesitate to do it. However, if he doesn't find a way to do that and has no choice but to live in that body forever, then what would be the right thing to do? He wonders if it would be okay to call you Haisuk, mother, and Kang Da Gayong, father. If he suddenly left them one day, how much pain and sorrow would they feel? Chan remains silent. Daeru calls out to him and asks what he's thinking about. The boy says it's nothing important and that they can talk about future plans once they're better. Chan smiles and says they have plenty of time and should make decisions after thinking things through. Daeru agrees, smiling, and says his wife is planning to visit him later, so he'll be able to introduce her to Chan. The boy tells him to forget about that and asks what he would even say to her. Daeru says he'd say he's a student, and Chan asks if he really thinks she'd buy that. Then says he talks to Daeru way too informally and sometimes smacks him on the back of the neck. Calmly, Daeru says that's Chan's fault, not his. The phone rings. Chan answers, and someone tells him his clothes are ready. The boy hangs up and tells Daeru they should wrap things up because he's exhausted. Chan returns home and announces that he's back. His mother says he went through a lot, but he says it wasn't that bad and that he heard his dad's meeting went well. She confirms it and says his father told her it was all thanks to Chan. His mother says he was crying on the phone, and the boy smiles, saying it was all thanks to his dad and that he didn't do anything. His mother takes his hand and hugs him, thanking him and saying she loves him. Chan is left speechless, but she feels comfortable on his chest. Chan sighs and gets ready to hug her back, but gives up, then says he's going to his room to take a nap because he's tired. The woman agrees. In the room, Chan is sitting on the bed. He looks at his hand and wonders what he should do. He has no idea. So he throws himself onto the bed. He's decided to take a break. The boy is exhausted, and he deserves it. The day passes. Chan wakes up from his nap. He looks at his phone. It's already 6 in the morning. The boy wonders why he has so many new messages on his phone, but remembers his number is still the same. Then he opens the messages. An unknown number told Chan to contact them as soon as he saw that message. He calls the number. Chan says he was sleeping and asks if something happened. Daeru says the sports club will be closed because the teacher is in the hospital. So Chan asks if that means he has to go to class. Daeru says he told him Chan was with him in the accident. Then he said Chan didn't suffer serious injuries, but he needs some time to rest. Still, it'll take 2 weeks for him to be discharged. Another number sent a message asking if Chania is busy and if he's okay. The boy reflects that she's also pretty easy to recognize. He calls her and says in French that he's fine. On the other end, Michelle asks if he's really okay. Shannon says things are settled, and Michelle asks where he is. The boy says he's at home, and tells her to have a proper dinner and invites her for the following week. The girl agrees and says she'll call him next week. He hangs up and sees another message from someone saying they heard Chen got hurt, asking if he's okay and saying they'll visit him at his house. Chen wonders why she would visit him and calls the girl. He starts to say it's him, but Kim quickly asks if he's okay. The boy says it's nothing serious and asks how she knows he got hurt. The girl replies that she's the club manager. Chan says Seok was hurt, but he only got a few scratches, so she doesn't need to come over. But Kim says she's almost there already and tells him to meet her in 3 minutes. He sighs and agrees. A few minutes later, Kim is sitting on the bench. Chan approaches. She's startled and runs toward him. Chan wonders if she's always been that direct. He grabs her by the wrist and tells her to watch her step. Chan and Kim look at each other. She starts asking about his injuries, but the boy says he's fine. Kim asks him to show her where he got hurt, but Chan dodges her, repeating that he's fine. They start arguing because she wants to see his wounds, until she grabs his hand, and they look at each other up close. Kim's heart starts to race. Chan wonders why she gets like that and reflects that it's frustrating. Kim rises onto her tiptoes. The girl tries to kiss Chan, but he says they should take a walk. He points to the side and says they should go that way where it's more open. Kim gets shy, but agrees. They walk together. The girl asks if he's really okay. Chan confirms, and the girl asks if he's going to school the next day. Then the boy says yes, and says the only one who's not doing well is the teacher. The club will resume as soon as he returns, in 2 weeks. Kim says that's before their exams. Chan is shocked, and Kim says happily that she'll be first in the school rankings and she's confident. She says that studying has become fun recently. Chan wonders why she's so excited and reflects that she looks like a mercenary going into battle, until he remembers that he said if she came first in the school rankings, he would give her a kiss. Chan is speechless. He gets nervous and Kim asks what's wrong, but he looks away and says it's nothing. He says he's tired after that walk and a bit tense. Kim tells him to go home and rest. The boy agrees and tells her to be careful on her way back. Saying goodbye, she says she'll be fine, then says she'll see him at school, smiling. The girl runs off. Chan keeps watching her. He reflects that at least she's motivated to study hard, which is a relief. On Monday, Chan's father takes him to school and asks what the boy plans to do from then on. He's confused, and the man says he'll be an adult next year, when he turns 20. Chan says that first he's going to prepare to enter college one way or another. The boy reflects that he doesn't want to take the final exam he doesn't think he'll pass. Then he gets an idea and says he was thinking of going to a sports university and maybe studying in France. Chan comments that he finds France really fun and interesting. Plus, he made connections with some French people. His father says his mother will be happy, but he asks if Chan isn't going to get into trouble from now on. Chan says it's all good. He already solved all the problems. The man says that's a relief. At school, Unsel is shocked. Chan is serious. He keeps thinking about how she has a stupid look on her face. The boy pictures her in the clubroom and walks away thinking she won't last a week. Unsel holds her head. The classroom is noisy, and Chan enters it. Everyone stops and stares at him. The boy thinks he already expected that to happen. He looks to the side and something catches his eye. It's Lee Hojin, all bruised. The boy turns around. Chan reflects that it seems like Lee Hojin enjoys getting beaten up. Then he walks right past the boy's desk. He puts his backpack on his desk and sits next to Kim. She's happy that he's there. The boy doesn't understand why. In that classroom, Kim is the only one smiling. Chan wonders if she even realizes that. The teacher speaks in Mandarin during class. He starts translating what he said, but Chan is bored and ends up dozing off. While the teacher talks, Chan's phone starts to vibrate. The man seems annoyed. Then Kim gets his attention to check what it is, but the teacher sighs and continues the lesson. Chan looks at the messages. It's Daeru saying that Smithan asked for his account number because he decided to give him his shares. Daeru says Smithan had the nurse translate for him, but his wife ended up hearing about the shares they're going to receive, and now Chan has to deal with it. The boy sighs, thinking Smithan has stirred up trouble again. He tells Daeru he's in class and decides to mute the notifications, but someone else sends a message. Chan wonders why a teacher would contact a student during class. It's a message from an unknown number telling Kang Chan that this is just the beginning. The boy looks at his phone seriously. Chan wonders who the funny guy is who sent that message. He puts his phone away, thinking that no one should bark from behind if they don't plan to bite from the front. The teacher continues teaching. Chan is bored. During break, Chan goes to the sports storage room and says that some of them may have heard about the situation, but the club will temporarily pause until Sia Kangho is discharged. There will be no official training sessions, but they should work individually. Chan sighs and tells them to come to him if anything happens. Everyone gets excited. He wonders what he's even doing. Later, leaving school, Chan and Kim walk together. He wonders how long she's going to follow him, then thinks that at least they'll take different paths in a few meters. But Kim calls him. Chan is confused, and she asks if he wants to study together. The boy quickly says no. The girl hangs her head and starts walking sadly. Chan wonders why she got so depressed. The boy says he planned to visit the teacher. Excited, Kim says she'll go with him. Chan asks why, and says she doesn't need to go, that exams are coming and she should study. But Kim replies that she's still the club manager. The supervisor was hospitalized, so she needs to visit him. Kim asks which hospital, and then Chan tries to come up with an excuse. He reflects that this is a necessary evil, and says the teacher was injured in a certain delicate area and it would be awkward for her to visit him. Chan tells her to just greet him when he comes back to school. Then he walks away saying he'll go that way. Kim says goodbye. He walks off, and she watches. At the hospital, Chan asks Daeru how he's doing. The man asks how different it could be and says he's the same as before. Chan asks where his wife is, and he says she went home to take care of their daughter. Chan asks what those messages were about the shares and all that. Daeru says he's been thinking about that all day and he's sure Smithan is planning something. Chan takes the opportunity since he brought it up and asks how long the two of them have been in the same room. Smithin is smiling, excited. Daeru says that Edia kept saying he was bored and scared, but he doesn't understand why Smithin wants to stay with him since they can't even communicate. Chan speaks in French to Smithin and asks what's that story about giving them his stocks. Smithin says he has 3 million in his account and 12 million in stocks, which makes 15 million. He wants to split it among the three of them, 5 each. The boy says the money and stocks are in his name and asks why Smithin wants to give it to him. Smithin says he shouldn't say this, but he's been through a lot too. He wants Chan to take the money and accept being his companion. And if Chan refuses, he'll still find a way to send him the money once he's discharged. Daeru asks what Smithin said, and Chan tells him it was about taking the money and becoming his companion again. Angrily, Daeru says he's definitely planning something, so he tells the captain to stay sharp. He says he smells something fishy, and Chan agrees. The boy tells Smithin that they understand his side, and asks if there's anything he hasn't told them yet. Turning his face away, the man says no and asks why there would be. Chan asks if he's serious and tells Smithin to forget it because they're not going to take the money. Smithin gets nervous. The boy says this is his last chance and asks what he's hiding. Smithin says he thinks there was someone in the shadows behind Charlene, but he has no idea who or how influential they might be. The man says he can't protect himself anymore. Daeru asks what he just said and comments that his face says he's talking nonsense. Chan says Smithin is scared of getting beaten by Charlene, so he wants to give him the money to share the risk. Daeru curses at Smithin. The man tries to explain that Chan will be getting a lot of money, and having more money is always good. He says he won't hide anything anymore. Chan agrees and says he won't be the one making the decision this time. The boy says, as he said before, he's leaving all decisions regarding Smithin to Daeru. Then he asks what the man wants to do. Smithin is smiling, cheerful. Daeru is angry, but says they should do as Smithin asked. Chan asks if he's sure, and the man says he doesn't even know why he's making that decision. The boy accepts and tells Smithin that Daeru agreed. The man thanks Daeru and says actually, he has one more request. Chan says if he says something ridiculous again, he's going to get beaten up again. Smithin says it's nothing crazy and that since he's living in Korea, he wanted to have a Korean tutor and place to stay when he gets discharged. Chan is confused and Smithin says the boy is the only one he can ask that from. Chan says he's shameless and that he'll see what he can do. He thinks he might be able to find someone through Michelle. Michelle's friend Cecile works at a security company. It might be worth asking her about the stocks too. Daeru gets annoyed and shows something to Chan. He turns the phone to the boy and says the person must have too much free time. Chan gets worried because Daeru received a threatening message just like him. The man is confused. Daeru's message says he'll die soon. Chan shows him his message too. They're both confused. Chan starts thinking and tells Daeru to forget it. Then he comments that it doesn't matter who it is, it's useless if they only know how to bark. If they come close to bite, they just need to destroy them. Daeru smiles and says that's how they solve things. Chan stands up and says that now that they've finished talking, he's leaving. Smithin sees the boy get up and asks if he's really going. The man says that without Chan there, they'll be easy targets, and asks if the boy can't stay a little longer. The boy says his parents told him to come home early so they could have dinner. Smithin is confused. Smithin comments that Chan must be tired of hearing this question, but asks if he's really the captain. Angrily, Chan asks if he wants another punch in the face. Nervous, Smithin says to just forget it. At night, someone answers the phone. Chan asks if she was sleeping and Michelle replies that she was resting since she finished work in the morning. The boy apologizes for waking her up. Michelle says it's all good and asks if something happened or if he's calling her for a date, but Chan says he has a request. The girl asks what kind of request it is. He says that the manager of the Gone Motors branch was hospitalized and is asking for a private tutor to teach him Korean, and he wanted to know if she could recommend someone. Michelle comments that Cindy is busy these days, but she has another friend in mind. Chan is happy and says he'll send her a date and location, and mentions he has one more thing. He asks if Cecile works in finance. Michelle complains that he's calling her but only talks about her friends. Chan says he's talking to her even though he could go ask her friends personally. Michelle feels better after that. The boy says they have a large sum of money and need to divide it among a few people, so they want to help. Michelle says she'll ask her friend to call them to hear the details since they should keep personal conversations and business separate. Chan thanks her and Michelle asks if he doesn't have any questions for her, like whether he missed her. But before she can continue, Chan hangs up. He heads home reflecting that Michelle is as annoying as Kim. The boy goes to a snack place. Chan asks if his dad meant that eating out was having tonkatsu. The man asks if he's disappointed. The boy says no, he just found it unexpected. His father says that in the business world, he'll have to wear expensive suits and eat and drink in luxurious places. So outside of that, it's good to enjoy simple, quiet places. It also feels nostalgic. Chan asks why. His mother asks if they haven't told him they used to be extremely poor and bankrupt before his father's business took off. Then she asks, worried if Chan's memories haven't fully returned yet. He quickly says he remembers but forgot because he was thinking about other things. He starts eating and says it's delicious. His mother agrees. They eat together. His father acts sweetly with his mother, and Chan watches it all. He reflects that the two of them move in the same rhythm. His father says that this weekend there will be a presentation for the new shift model and the ceremony for the appointment of the new Korean manager. He would like Chan and his mother to be present. The boy says he'll go. His mother gets excited and asks what she should wear. The man says she'll look beautiful in anything. Chan is happy with his parents. The week passed quickly. But at school, time drags on endlessly. With Michelle's friend, Chan handles the financial matters. She says Smithen needs to get a bank loan and transfer the reimbursement. After that, he'll have to sign some documents stating that he's lending the money to Chan and Siak. That will solve the issues with taxes and foreign currency import. And Chan won't need to pay him back since Smithen will have already signed a document to settle the debt in advance. Chan comments that this is all very complicated and asks if it's not illegal. The girl replies that it's just a smart trick. The girl says they'll take care of all the complicated processes and Chan will only need to open an account and sign a few documents. The boy thanks her. She says there's no need to thank her since he's the one boosting her ratings. He left Cecile fully in charge of process distribution, and after some annoying and complicated meetings, the boy received 1.5 billion won. He also had 230 million won from his mercenary work. Now he had 1.7 billion won in his account to use however he wanted. At the hospital, Chan introduces Alice to Smithen and says she'll be his Korean teacher. The man doesn't react and tells the captain he wants a private room from now on. Chan curses at him. Smithen says it's not what he's thinking. He just doesn't want to bother Daeru. Then Daeru asks what he's talking about, and the boy says Smithen asked for a room just for himself. Daeru curses at him too. Smithen is outraged and says it's not what they think. They found a tutor for Smithen, who was also officially appointed as the branch manager. Chan had thought the French headquarters might cause trouble after Charlene's disappearance, but nothing happened. Then a week passed. At the hotel, the presentation of the new car from Gaunt Motors is announced. There are many people there. Chan enters with his parents. The boy is happy. A man watches him and comments that that must be the young Kang Chan. He smiles at the boy. The man places his glass on the table and walks toward Chan and his parents. Someone calls out to Channy. He looks and sees Smithen in a wheelchair with Alice. The boy tells him to stop acting like they know each other, but the man says it's no big deal since people already saw them together at the hotel earlier. Alice looks confused and Smithen tells her not to mind it, since that's just how they always talk. Chan asks how he and the girl got so close so quickly. Smithen says the boy knows him. Then Smithen speaks to Chan's father and says he's under his care from now on. Alice translates it into Korean. The man smiles and asks her to tell Smithen that actually he's the one under the care of the new manager. Chan's father takes the chance to say that, although he doesn't know how Smithen was hurt, he wishes him a speedy recovery. Alice translates everything. Smithen starts laughing and says Chan's father would be very impressed if he knew how he got injured. Chan tells him to shut up. He keeps laughing and says he won't say anything else. Then asks if the woman beside Chan's father is his mother. The boy gets serious and tells Smithen not to joke about her and to be respectful. Smithen greets her, saying she's a lovely lady and invites them for dinner someday. Chan's mother asks what he's saying and the boy explains that he's saying it's a pleasure to meet her. Smiling, the woman says it's a pleasure to meet Smithen too. A man approaches and asks for permission to join the conversation with Smithen. Startled, Smithen agrees and calls the man ambassador. Chan looks at the man and realizes he's the French representative of the company. The man says that boy must be Kang Chan. Smithen confirms and says he'll introduce them. But the ambassador quickly introduces himself as the French representative Renork. He extends his hand. Chan becomes tense, but shakes his hand back. He wonders why that man is interested in him. Chan's mother asks what's going on and who that man is. The boy says it's Mr. Renork, the French representative. She's surprised that he shook Chan's hand, but the boy says it's nothing. He just joined the conversation. Renork asks if he can take a bit of Chan's time, and the boy says he can speak freely. But the man says that this isn't the right place and tells them to go somewhere else. Chan is confused. In another location, the man says Chan has an excellent French accent, and according to what they know, the boy never took French classes. Chan asks if he's supposed to answer that. Renork smiles and comments that it seems he offended Chan, so he tells the boy to relax, that it's not an interrogation, he was just curious. Chan gets serious and says he learned it on the internet. Renork comments that he seems very proficient in it, then places the teacup on the table and says he didn't ask for his time for trivial questions. He wants to talk about Charlene. Chan gets serious. And the man says that Gonk is a company representing French car brands. It would be problematic if people found out they were dealing with criminal organizations. So, as a representative, he wants to thank Chan for stopping them. The boy says that's not necessary and that he didn't act on behalf of the French government. Renork concludes by saying all the information about Charlene is being handled by the French intelligence agency, so he shouldn't expect any disgraceful rumors. Chan says he understands and reflects that this is an indirect way of telling him not to leak any information. Then the boy asks how Renork dealt with Charlene. The man explains that he got involved in an incident on the way to the airport. The boy agrees, and the man says the country wants to express its gratitude to Kang Chan. Then he comments that if he wishes, he can attend any university in French territory as a student and can receive French nationality whenever he wants. Chan stares at him and says he'll think about it, thanking him for everything. Renork brings up the money he transferred from the Swiss bank and says the country has already taken care of everything, so he doesn't need to worry about Korean taxes. They'll also add some stock donations for the boy. He won't have to worry about money for the rest of his life. Chan realizes they already knew everything. Chan says the compensation is quite extravagant compared to the small incident that was resolved. Renork says that next year is the French election, so this is just their way of tying things up to avoid interference in the elections. Chan says he understands and tells him not to worry. Calmly, the man says that compensation was prepared by the French Republic, and now he has a small personal gift for the boy. The man hands Chan a card and says that if he ever needs anything, he can contact him. Seriously, Chan asks if he could access the records of the French mercenary expeditions. But Renork says that if it's about Charlene, you should just turn the page. Chan stays silent and says he understands. Smiling, Renork says he made an excellent choice. Standing up, Chan says that if there's nothing else, he'll return to his family. The man agrees. Renork watches Chan leave and calls out to him, then says that if any strange rumors spread, his agency will have to clean things up. The boy clenches his fist and replies that this is South Korea. He didn't need that last comment. Renork smiles and apologizes, then says it was something he had to say even if he had to apologize right after. Chan stares at him silently. When he returns to his parents, his mother asks what the representative wanted to talk about. The boy says he said he'd recommend him for a scholarship if he wanted to go to France. The woman is surprised and Chan says he probably just said that to be polite. Then Chan asks where Smithen went. His father says he left because he had to present the new car. His mother points to where he is. On the stage, Smithen speaks into the microphone, saying it's an honor to present the new model developed by Gaunt. Chan wonders when he learned to give speeches. Very excited, Smithen shouts that he's going to present them. The new luxury sedan, the FGM5. The car is revealed with two women beside it. People take photos and record the moment. Chan notices a woman. It's Michelle. He wonders why she's there. The girl stares at him and talks to her photographer, who is capturing the moment. The models beside the car get shy with all the flashes. Chan realizes Michelle is there for work. The girls say goodbye to the crowd, and Chan waves at Michelle when she sees him. Very excited, the woman yells, "Chaney." He's shocked by the scene. She runs toward him and hugs him. Suddenly, she kisses Chan in front of everyone. His parents are speechless. Chan asks her to speak in French. The girl says in French that it's nice to see him there. He asks her to calm down and say hello to his parents first, but to avoid speaking Korean carelessly. Michelle introduces herself, saying she already met Chan's mother at the restaurant. The woman asks what she said. Chan translates, summarizing that Michelle is saying hello and asks if his mother remembers the girls from the restaurant. He says they got close after that. His mother says she did find her familiar and asks if they aren't a bit too close. Chan says it's French culture and things move fast. He asks why she's there, and Michelle says she works for the magazine and they'll have a feature on Gaunt Motors next month. Michelle asks what Chan is doing there, and he says his father is the CEO of Kangyu Motors. The woman comments she didn't know he was someone important. Chan says it's not a big deal, but Michelle says it's really cool. Smiling, she asks if he wants to go out and have a drink. Sighing, Chan thinks Michelle acts just like Kim. Shy, the woman asks if he doesn't want to. Chan thinks that when he needed her, she helped him a lot, so he can't say no. The boy agrees but says he won't drink anything alcoholic. The woman gets super excited. Renork walks past them and smiles at Chan. He nods back. Michelle notices and asks if Chan just greeted that man. He confirms, and Michelle is shocked that they know each other. The boy says they met that very day. Michelle says he's famous in France for his arrogance and there are rumors he wants to be the next president. He's not the kind of person who bothers to greet others. Chan says this is Korea, then tells her they should go. The boy tells his parents he's going to have coffee with the girl since they haven't seen each other in a while. His mother gets worried, but Chan says he owes her. The boy's father tells him to go ahead and that his mother won't get in the way, then asks the boy not to take too long. He and Michelle go to the poolside. The boy looks at Michelle and concludes that she's very beautiful. The woman speaks to him and asks why he always pushes her away. Chan says he never did that, and she comments that he's always making excuses not to see her. He wonders how he can explain it. Then he says that they have their own lives and very different goals. But that doesn't mean he doesn't like her presence. Chan says they can be friends and that they're already pretty close. Even so, he doesn't know if he would accept more than that. Michelle asks why and if he doesn't think she's good enough or if he doesn't like French women. She asks if they could be closer if she stopped talking to other guys and focused only on Chan. The boy says it's not about that, he's just not who he seems to be. Having a relationship with anyone would be uncomfortable and strange for him. Michelle asks if he's still in high school. Chan tells her to think whatever she wants because whatever she thinks will be right. The woman says she doesn't understand and tells him they should work this out, that from now on they'll be closer and that he shouldn't push her away again. The boy remains silent. Someone calls for Michelle. It's a woman named So Yeon. Michelle asks how she found her, and So Yeon replies that the reporter who was with her told her, then asks who the handsome guy is. Michelle introduces the woman to Chan. The boy asks if she's the new model. Michelle confirms and says she's also been appearing a lot on TV, but Chan says he doesn't watch TV. Smiling at her friend, Michelle tells So Yeon to keep working hard. Chan says he's leaving. So Yeon says that if it's because of her, he can feel at ease because she's also about to leave. But Chan says he was already leaving anyway and says he'll pay the bill. Michelle lowers her head. Later on, Chan walks out of his building and stretches. He starts running. Charlene was someone very strong, but since he stopped being a mercenary, he lost some of his skills. Because of that, he ended up not living his life as planned. Chan reflects that he'll never be like him. On the street, Chan runs to exercise. He thinks back to the first time he felt it was when he fought against the gang. At the moment he realized he couldn't do that anymore, he suddenly felt like his old condition had returned. He thought it might have been a coincidence or even a burst of adrenaline, but it wasn't. After that, in any life-threatening situation, he felt as if his past senses came back to him. If he hadn't felt that, it would have been hard to defeat Charlene. Chan doesn't know exactly why, but one thing is certain. If that body takes a lot of damage, his past senses will be revived. The boy runs at high speed on the street. In French, someone apologizes inside a military base. Chan and Daeru in his past life are with Smithin. They're looking at a boy who is dreaming and apologizing in his sleep. Smithin asks if he thinks he's the boss there and starts teasing the boy, but Chan asks him to leave him alone. The day before, he had his first time on the battlefield. Smithin says the first night is all nightmares, but the kid is kind of strange. Usually people say things like no, die, don't do this, or similar things, but he's apologizing. The next day at the training field, the boy yells at the captain asking how much longer he has to run. Chan answers that it's just 50 more laps. Then the boy complains, saying he can't take it, but the man says it's a small space and 50 laps is nothing. Chan says that if he's tired, he can stop, but the boy refuses and says that with the captain, he'll go all the way. Chan stops, exhausted, and tells the boy to stop too, or he's going to end up dying. But he says there are still a few laps left and he wants to run the same amount as the captain. Chan complains that he's too stubborn and smiles, thinking it's good the kid isn't giving up. When the boy finishes, he collapses to the ground, exhausted, and Chan says he did a good job. The boy asks if he did well. Chan smiles. On the battlefield, Daeru shouts that there are too many enemies and asks if they should retreat. Chan yells back, saying that air support is already on the way and they just need to hold on a little longer. They exchange fire with the enemies. Chan hears a scream. Looking to the side, he sees his soldier shot and calling out to him. Chan starts heading toward him, but Daeru holds him back and tells him not to go. The man breaks free anyway and runs toward the boy. He dodges bullets and explosions and reaches the boy lying on the ground. Chan shouts for him to hold on, but the boy is already lifeless. Chan screams as he clutches his body. Back in the present, in his new body, Chan keeps running. He reflects that no matter how peaceful things are, he must always stay strong to protect his life. His body grows tired, but he thinks it's still not enough and he must keep going. Then Chan notices the busy street and wonders if it's already time to go to school. He heads to school. On the way, Kim calls out to him. She asks if he's going to school and says she was just about to go too. Chan reflects that it's obvious she's been waiting for him for a long time, and if she wants to pretend, she should at least do it properly. A car honks at them. It's Daeru, who calls out to them and says he'll give them a ride. They ride in the car, and Kim asks if he's okay. The man replies that he almost lost his neck, but the recovery was fast. The girl is shocked that he recovered so quickly. Daeru says he has a strong, resilient neck, and even the doctor was surprised by his recovery. Kim gets flustered and reflects that it must be embarrassing to talk about his intimate injury. Chen tries to break the mood and laughs, saying that now that the coach is back, the sports team can resume. The man confirms and says that with final exams starting on Wednesday, they'll have a meeting that day after class and will only return to sports the following week. Excited, Kim says she'll be a top student on that exam. Daeru agrees and says she's the only one who could pull that off. The coach mentions that Chan's birthday already passed and the boy asks if that's important. Daeru says that now he can get a driver's license and that he might need to drive in an emergency. Kim's phone vibrates. She gets nervous and says it feels like a stalker. Chan asks to see it and she hands him the phone. It's a message saying she will die soon. Chan reflects that he thought those messages were from one of Charlene's goons. Then he asks what Kim meant when she said this was happening again. The girl says she received a similar message the day before. Chan calls for Daeru and says that after the sports club meeting, he'd like to talk. Later in the locker room, Daeru tells the club members to make sure they're prepared for the test and asks if the second-year students will be on a field trip. They confirm they'll be away for 4 days. Daeru says he'll be going on the trip with them and asks if anyone has questions. When it's over, Kim grabs the sleeve of Chan's shirt and asks if she can go with him, saying she's the manager. Daeru says there are a few things about the accident he needs to discuss with Chan. The girl gets shy and walks off. Chan tells Daeru that with that message sent to Kim, anyone around them could become a target, including their families. Chan tells Daeru to only use the work phone and says he needs to see Smithin first. Daeru says it's awful that things have gotten worse. Chan agrees and asks what the field trip is about. The man explains that since the students couldn't travel earlier that year, they'll do it during vacation. Chan asks if he could take a medical leave, but Daeru explains that if he doesn't go, Mr. Cho would have to go, and he's already 60. And bad rumors would start if a young teacher dumped his job on an elderly man. The mercenary Daeru could go, but teacher Seop Kang-ho must be careful of his surroundings. At night, Chan enters his home. His mother is cooking. The boy remembers the message Kim received and calls his mother. Then says he heard that among students there's a trend of sending death threats to others. She says that explains it. Chen asks if she got that kind of message. The woman confirms and says she deleted it as soon as she saw it. She comments that it's strange and Chen agrees. He puts on a shirt and says he's going for a walk. Now he understands everyone around him is a possible target, and he can't protect everyone at the same time. A car drives at night. Chen gets out of it and looks at his phone. This seems to be the right place. The boy curses Smithin and says he got lucky becoming branch manager. Chan walks in and is greeted by Smithin and Alice. He says the man looks well. Smiling, Smithin says Chan should visit more often. Chan says he didn't come for a visit and that he'll be direct. Smithin agrees, and he tells Alice that they're going to have a private conversation, asking her to leave him alone for a moment. While they drink coffee, Smithin asks what's going on. Chan explains that at the hospital he mentioned it, but Smithin probably didn't understand because he spoke in Korean. He, Daeru, and everyone around them are being threatened. Smithen is shocked and asks by whom. Chan says he doesn't know, and asks if the man received any strange threatening message. He replies that he hasn't. The boy reflects that this is strange, and says that at the hospital he mentioned that Charlene might be hiding more things and asks why he thinks that. Smithen replies that it was intuition, just a hunch. Chan looks at him angrily, and says that he always returns in counting what he receives. Every time he tries to deceive him, he'll have no choice but to make him pay. Chan says he'll give him a warning and tells Smithen not to mention anything about his time as a mercenary to anyone. His words could cost the lives of people around him. If he finds out the man said anything, he'll come back to finish what he started at the hotel. Smithen stays silent, nervous. Standing up, Chan says that's all he has to say. He turns and says he's leaving and that it would be a pleasure not to have to see him again. Smithen says he saw Charlene receiving orders from someone on the phone. Chan stops. The man says Charlene thought he wasn't there, but when confronted, he had the same reaction Chan did. He said he'd kill him if he opened his mouth. Since then, he's seen him receive that kind of call a few more times, but he always had to pretend he didn't know anything. Chan gets nervous because Charlene really was hiding something. He tells Smithen to be extra careful. If anything happens, he must not hesitate to call. Chan leaves. His phone beeps. He thinks it must be a joke, but it's Daeru calling. The boy relaxes and answers. On the other side, Daeru says he talked to the carrier about the phone, and they told him to make a report at the police station and get permission first. Only after that can they release what was requested. Chan says it's a pain, but agrees. Daeru asks what Chan is doing and if he met with Smithen. Chan confirms, and the man asks if he said anything useful. The boy says no. Daeru asks what he said. Then they talk about what Chan discussed with Smithen earlier. Daeru comments that it gives him chills even though he's no longer on the battlefield. He asks if Chan hadn't already dealt with the gangsters, and the boy confirms, but says it's too soon to assume it's them. Sending messages isn't their style, and if it were them, Smithen should have been the first to get messages. Chan says they need to stay alert and act carefully. Daeru agrees and asks the boy to let him know if he finds out anything else. Chan agrees. He reflects that this is only getting worse and calls someone. He asks for a private security service. Chan says he wants the best package. On the other side, someone says that's for clients under murder threat or similar cases, and that the price is quite high. Chan says that doesn't matter and tells her to proceed. On the other end, the person apologizes and says the CEO is the one in charge of VIP security service, then asks if Chan would like to be redirected to him, and the boy says yes. The phone rings. The CEO answers, introducing himself as Kim Ta-jin. He speaks to Chan and says he will meet him in person the next day. As soon as the call ends, Chan reflects that he won't be able to protect everyone at once, but since they operate in presidential security, it'll be worth it. He feels a little relieved and wonders if this is the power of money. His phone rings. It's Oh Gwangtaek calling him, and Chan wonders why at this hour. When he answers, the boy asks what happened. Oh Gwangtaek asks if Chan remembers Siu Doseok from the Namsan Hotel. The boy says yes. And the man says someone attacked him and he's in critical condition at the hospital. He thinks it was someone from that subsidiary gang of his that the boy wiped out, and he called just to tell Chan to be careful, since he's now their #1 enemy. Chan remembers the gang and reflects that if it's them behind all this, it makes sense that Smithen wasn't threatened. Oh Gwangtaek asks if Chan is listening. The boy confirms and asks how Seo is. The man says he just went into surgery. The man says he's used to that kind of thing, but they went a bit too far and left the target pretty much useless. It looks like the work of a professional. He says he'll send his people to Chan and that the boy doesn't need to talk to them, just pretend he doesn't know them. Oh Gwangtaek tells Chan not to get shy around them, and the boy agrees. Then he wonders if he should tell the man. He starts saying goodbye, but Chan says he received a threat. Oh Gwangtaek is shocked. Chan says that he, Seok Kangho, and some people around them received death messages. He thinks someone found his lost phone. Worried, Oh Gwangtaek asks him to explain more about what happened. Chan tells him everything he knows. The man says it's the same gang and that now he finally understands. Then he says this is their job, tells Chan to be careful, and says they'll take care of everything. The boy hangs up and reflects that he feels sorry for the man who was attacked, but also feels relieved. Chan reflects that things could get complicated if Oh Gwangtaek's gang issue isn't the same as his, so he won't let his guard down. At school, Chan asks Daeru what that is. The man replies that it's bad for a sports club not to have good equipment, so he bought some new ones. Chan asks if it was with his own money. Daeru says yes, and he paid in full, but doesn't really matter. Chan says he did a great job buying all that and asks how the issue with the message went. The man says the culprits use their own software to send the messages from abroad. Chan says he thought it was from the gang. Daeru says people who commit crimes tend to flee overseas, but the cyber crimes unit said they haven't received those messages anymore. He picks up his phone and says this must be a joke. Daeru shows the message he received to Chan. It's another threat. The boy says he thought he wouldn't get any more of those. The man says he thought so too. They must have found another way. Daeru asks if Chan is thinking of going home and invites him to eat something, but the boy says he's busy. Mocking, Daeru asks if he's going to study for the test. But Chan says he just needs to meet someone. In a cafe, someone stands in front of Chan and asks if he's Kang Chan. The boy confirms. CEO Kim Ta-jin hands him his business card. He says he didn't imagine Kang Chan would be just a high school student. Beside him is director Siu Sang-hyun. Chan takes his card and stares at him. He gives off a good impression, completely different from those young guys who learn some martial arts and open a business. Chan asks them to sit. The man says he was given some details of the situation and asks if anything happened besides the messages. Chan says no. Kim Ta-jin says he's sure the boy didn't get the best package just because of some messages, so it would be better if he told them everything. Chan thinks about it. The CEO says he's in presidential security and because of that ends up knowing national secrets, but he's never had any issues. Chan says he thinks there's a gang involved, but he's not sure. Kim Ta-jin says most gangs in Korea are interconnected. If he knew who they were, it would be easier to handle. Calmly, Chan says Kim Ta-jin should just assign a few bodyguards to him, but sees Sang-hyun responds that he clearly doesn't know much about these things, and that not even the most dangerous gangsters in the country can do anything to their CEO, so Chan should tone it down a bit. Chan gets furious. The director is startled, and Kim Ta-jin scolds him. So the video ends here. If you don't want to miss the next part, activate the notification bell, and see you next time on Tob's channel.